Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Blitz the Bookie. I'm Charlie Winkle, joined as always by Anthony Roberts. It is Wednesday, February the 19th, and I hope you did not skip through the intro music today because Blitz the Bookie has a new jingle, and personally, I think it's fire. Anthony, what do you think?
Sounded great. Charlie, it was awesome. Charlie, he got somebody to produce it, write it, and everything, and it sounded awesome.
I hope y'all heard it. If not, listen at the end. We're going to play it again at the end. Shout out to who I would call one of the best producers in the game. He goes by Josh O. I call him DJ Josh O. He's not so much a DJ as he is a producer, but he has produced tons of hits, Anthony.
No, he's good.
I'm sure you've heard of a bunch of them. Everything from Trav Scared to Go to Nashville to Two Dudes Eating Blue Chews. He's got the hits. So thanks to DJ Josho for the new Blitz the Bookie jingle. I call it a jingle. It's actually a full song.
No, it is. I tell you, that's the best $5,000 that I've spent. Me and Charlie both put up $5,000, so we're sending him $10,000. But best money I've ever spent.
It was good. Like, you only get to hear 30 seconds at the beginning, but at the end, make sure you listen because it's a full 3-minute song, 3 verses and a hook. I think he did a great job. So look, if you have not heard of DJ Josho, check him out. He's all over the place. He's hot. He loves this shit. Keep putting out the hits. Keep putting out the jams. And Blitz the Bookie's rolling with it. I love it. It's way better than the first music that we had. So I love it.
No, it is. It really is. It's a quality intro.
All right, Anthony, I'm still having football withdrawals.
Yeah.
I know you talked about it. I kind of blew it off a little bit because it's only been a week or man, I am in full withdrawal mode.
I'm going to be honest with you, Charlie. It hit me before the season was over. When the games really, after that first weekend of the playoffs, when I didn't have a full.
Yeah, when you got like 4 games a week.
Yes. You knew it was coming to an end, dude, and I did not like it. I enjoy analyzing the games, especially college football, NFL too, and I enjoy that. It's a weekly routine. I got used to it. I was putting time into it. I enjoy it.
It didn't hit me until maybe this week. I'm having some fun here with the college basketball, really getting into it now. And I love college basketball.
It's good stuff.
Matter of fact, if you would ask me what my top team of my favorite teams, it's Kentucky basketball. But my favorite sport is football. My favorite sport to watch is football.
It is everybody's. It's not that we don't like basketball. There might be some people that are basketball-only people, but across America, there's a reason why football has the highest ratings. It's probably NFL and then college football. I'm a college football guy first, NFL guy second, but I would say NFL probably got them by a little bit. It's not by much, but they do got them by a little bit on the national numbers. But them wouldn't you say those hands down are the top 2?
Oh, yeah.
I know they are. And then I would say college basketball. And then, I don't know, college basketball might not have Major League Baseball. You think college basketball is more popular than Major League Baseball?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, I got you.
I would say so, but I'm not sure.
Major League Baseball more popular than NBA or NBA more popular?
Ooh, I think the NBA is losing viewers right now.
They're struggling. But MLB's struggling too. They got issues.
I'd like to look at the numbers on that because I do think that baseball had been down for a while, but I'm not sure if baseball – we don't have a team here.
I agree.
Cincinnati's close, and yeah, some people around here pretend to be Cincinnati fans, or maybe they are Cincinnati fans, but we don't live in a city that has a team. So
we got the Riverbats.
Even that, that's the AAA team for Cincinnati. I think that's something. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's a good time.
A AAA team is legit. It's a good watch. It's good quality baseball. But I'm just saying around here, it's easy to say baseball is not big or people don't watch baseball. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I think they do. I think the NBA is struggling big time.
Listen, I love coaching baseball. I love going to games. That's enjoyable. But watching baseball on TV, you got to really be a baseball guy, be able to watch baseball. I know you do. I know you like it, Charlie. I mean, I can do it. I'm not saying I hate it. I enjoy baseball. I know baseball, but I do struggle watching it on TV on a weekly basis.
I watch quite a bit.
Yeah.
I lock into the Orioles. I have the little box here that gets me all the games. So, especially early in the season and late in the season, I'm watching almost every Orioles game. So I do watch a lot of baseball games, but NBA seems like the viewership is down, the interest is down. I don't really know anybody that pays attention to the NBA.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I like college basketball too. I love college basketball. Don't love it and nowhere near I like football. But I think basketball as a whole has an issue right now because as much as I love Coach Pope and I love the new energy with Kentucky basketball, the game as a whole, college basketball, the games aren't exciting as they used to be. And I think they're struggling kind of with the same thing the NBA is. A lot of shooting and there's not a lot of hard-nosed defense. I think some of those things are missing.
The game's changed.
It is.
All the way from NBA all the way down to my 8-year-old son that I watch.
Yep.
The game has changed.
It's all.
My 8-year-old plays, and I both got 11-year-old, and in their division, they shoot more threes in a game than my team shot all year when I was at their age.
And when we were young, and I'm not even saying high school, but I'm saying young, Charlie, if you remember, shooting wasn't a hip thing to do. The hip thing to do was back somebody down. Now, whether you could dunk or not, or if you're playing in your neighborhood with 7-foot rim, you want to dunk on somebody's face or throw their shot up. You know, it was about manning up and being able to kind of outpower them, outman them, bully them down. Now it's all about shooting.
Steph Curry changed the game.
He did.
He's one of the, I'd say, maybe 4 or 5 guys throughout the history of basketball that actually changed the game.
The rule changes changed the game too. Several of them had a lot to do with it over the years. You know, does basketball kind of go back to some of their older rules? It won't happen fast, but do the referees quit calling so many touch fouls? And then over time, it kind of works its way back to a little bit more physical of a game.
I doubt it.
Well, I wouldn't say so. I think
they want the points. They want the.
They want it, but if that's not, they're going to listen to the fans though. If the fans,
that's what the fans want too.
Maybe. I agree. I think you're right for a lot of years, but does the fans have that points fatigue a little bit? And now they're kind of thirsting for maybe a little old school. Football might eventually have to go back to it. Right now, the fans are happy with it, but if it gets too soft, it keeps getting a little softer. The fans, you know, at the end of the day, they're going to have to listen to the fans. So we'll see what happens.
All right, before we get into all the basketball stuff, football, since we're still having some withdrawals, a couple of things. Aaron Rodgers, it sounds like he went to have some negotiations with the Jets. From what I'm seeing, the Jets gave him a couple ultimatums. One being he needed to show up to practice. Pretty common sense, if you ask me. I don't even know why you got to say that to any football player, much less one of the best of all time. You got to beg the guy to come to practice. Honestly, that's a red flag where I just say, get out. They don't like that at all.
They should have never allowed that to happen. You don't cave to that. They let him come in. I guess he thought he had leverage. They thought he had leverage, and I guess they allowed him to do it. But if you're a coach, I get it. It's Aaron Rodgers. You want him there. He has leverage. But you got to put your foot down.
Leverage my ass. He's supposed to be a leader. He needs to be there in the off-season workouts with his guys, especially last year when he was coming off of he played for 4 minutes that first year, and then he got hurt. So you're hurt all year. You don't play the first year with the Jets, and then you come back off of that, and you go on your little retreat, and you don't show up to preseason stuff with your guys. What kind of leadership does that show?
And not just that, you're playing for the Jets. This ain't some great team you're playing for. You need everything you can get out of it. He knows that.
So that was stipulation number 1. Come to practice. Stipulation number 2, from what I hear, is you cannot go on the Pat McAfee podcast every week like you do. I think he goes on 1 episode a week. It's like 1 hour a week, but he goes on there. And look, I agree with some of the stuff that Aaron Rodgers believes, and I don't agree with some stuff, but he goes on there and acts an ass sometimes. He might just talk too much. I don't know.
Look, I think that's the problem with society, pro athletes, me and you, our friends. people need to have a voice. But I almost think we're getting to the point with society where everybody has a voice and it's leading to like some bad behavior, It's just not good. Yeah, we need a voice as people, but everybody, all the social media, people almost have too much of a voice.
I agree. Like I said, I agree with some of the stuff he says. I don't agree with some, but he's a little outlandish sometimes. So for an organization to maybe request that he doesn't do that during the season, I don't even think there's nothing wrong with that. It's 1 hour a week. You're the quarterback of the Jets. Are you worried about quarterbacking for the Jets? Or are you worried about going on a podcast an hour a week? I don't know, but apparently something went awry when they were talking about these stipulations, and the first reports say that they just told him they're going a different direction. Well, a couple days later, now there's new reports saying that Aaron Rodgers was in there pretty much pleading his case with them, almost begging to let him stay there with the Jets, and they're still letting him go.
Yeah, for the Jets, they were getting better at the end of the year. You know, they got that good pass defense, but they were playing better at the end of the year. But I just don't know, when you're in their position, he's only going to be there a year or two. I just go in the different, like, to me, it's all about rebuilding, trying to look to the future. If you're a team that has all these pieces in place, then yes, go get a veteran quarterback like that. Maybe you can win a Super Bowl or two or make a run at one. But in the position they're in, they got some good stuff going on. They got some bad stuff going on. But Aaron Rodgers, they're not going to win at a high level next year. I do think they could be better because they definitely were improving at the end of the year, but they still got some issues. So they're not going to answer them all. Just go in the different direction.
Let me tell you where I stand on Aaron Rodgers. We've talked about gunslingers.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about pure pocket passers.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about those guys, the smartest quarterbacks, the best stand in the pocket, throw it around, best arm, best accuracy, I think he's one of the best of all time.
And he actually used to, more so than Brady or Manning, he was one that could use his legs decent when he was younger. Not that he was just some takeoff guy, but he had some legs on him at times.
Oh,
but,
he did.
And maybe that he's getting older, maybe that was a big part of his game. Guys like Manning or Brady, they knew they didn't have legs, so that was what their game was. So they knew they had to get rid of it. But when your game involved you having some legs, and then maybe your legs aren't there no more, does that throw you off? I don't know.
Well, he's one of those true fireballers.
Oh, he is. He is. Yeah.
He's a top 5, top 6, 7, somewhere, wherever you want to argue, of all time.
Dude,
all time.
I might argue he might have been the best when his game was right. He didn't get the accomplishments, but the guy was good.
Very good. But I will go ahead and say it. One Super Bowl for that guy is disappointing. He had some chances, especially earlier in his career. I think one is disappointing for him.
I thought that team, they had Brady beat them. A lot of that was defense and a lot of players, but whatever. I mean, that's another argument for another day. I think they had the best team that year. That's the one where they got beat by them and the coach kicked the field goal instead of going for it.
Yeah, he's had some chances.
He ain't the best of coaches either.
A lot, no. Well, he had McCarthy there for a while.
McCarthy's Jim.
The way I ultimately feel about Aaron Rodgers is that he is one of the best. If you're going to talk about, let's have a quarterback competition where we're just throwing at targets and seeing how hard we can throw, how far we can throw, how accurate we are, I'm taking him in the top 4 or 5 of all time. But I do think he should have won more than one Super Bowl. And when he was leaving Green Bay, I was praying and begging for him to come to the Dolphins. I wanted him to the Dolphins so bad. But I'm glad we didn't get him.
It might have been different with the Dolphins, though. Situations, Charlie, and I could be wrong. You know, we feel a little different on that. But a lot of times you're a product in your environment. But I do not think it would have been good with a young coach like McDaniels and him. I think he needs a older, strong coach that will call him on his stuff.
Well, he's older now, and to me, all the other extra stuff that comes with Aaron Rodgers is really a drawback for me, especially at the fact that he's old. If he was in his prime, he wasn't even acting like this when he was in his prime.
No, but you know, sometimes
look, like a midlife crisis or something.
But sometimes it takes you getting humbled. But I will blame a little bit on the Jets if I understand it correctly. I know he had that TV show his first year. They bought into some of that.
Well, I'll be honest. I was a little scared. I wanted him at the Dolphins. He ended up in the AFC East in my division with the Jets. I was worried.
He'd been scary with the Dolphins, dude.
I was worried. Would they go this year, Anthony? 4-13?
Yeah, but
that's bad.
It is, but there was things about
There was a lot of things. The Jets are awful. We've talked about there's 4 or 5 organizations that are always at the top. Well, there's 4 or 5 that are always at the bottom. And they're one of them.
I'll say this. I'm not taking up for him. From an offensive standpoint, I read this somewhere, and I start really paying attention to it. And whoever I read that from or heard it from, they were spot on. Whoever was designing their offense this year, it was like from 15 years ago. Like they had the least number of plays they got up. And I mean, there was nothing creative. You know, you got all this creative stuff going on nowadays because of the rules allow some things. And they were running an offense that was based on rules that were 15, 20 years ago. So, you know, the game changes. So you got to change with it.
I don't think he was in the best spot. I think the Jets are as bad as it gets as an organization. But to me, Aaron Rodgers is worth about 2 or 3 wins by itself. So a bad season at the Jets with Aaron Rodgers should have been about 8 wins, not 4. I think it's got something to do with all the stuff that he's got going on. Why are you not coming to practice? That's got to matter. You've got to be there. You have to be there.
You're a leader.
You got to be there.
Listen, I lost a lot.
Just a leader. You're one of the best players of all time.
I lost a lot of respect for him this year. I was a big Aaron Rodgers guy, and I'd like to see Aaron bounce back and kind of, you know, be humble. Look, sometimes we just, as humans, we need to be humbled. What's happened to me before in life, and it's not the worst thing. But if you can accept that and just accept that you got to get better, you got to improve. I think everybody goes through that, whatever part of life it is. It might be a time of year where you just feel like you've just kind of been down, not getting a lot accomplished, and, you know, you hold yourself accountable. I've always said that about me and my wife. I said, you know, we kind of hold each other accountable. If one of us is kind of being lazy a little bit, the other one to kind of call each other out. I kind of like that. But maybe he needs somebody or maybe he holds himself accountable and just say, hey, that wasn't the best version of me.
Well, that's what he needs to do if he wants to have 1 or 2 more solid years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot left. I'd say whatever team's going to take a shot on him is going to be hoping for 1 good year and maybe 2. So while we're on that, me and Anthony, we kind of went through all the teams and we kind of narrowed down what we thought would be options for Aaron Rodgers. If you've been keeping up with this at all, Pittsburgh was the first one that popped up.
Looks like Pittsburgh's trying to go in a different direction from both quarterbacks.
From what I heard, Pittsburgh, their number 1 option was not Aaron Rodgers. There is some scuttlebutt about Matt Stafford to Pittsburgh. If you're telling me Pittsburgh is going to get one of those 2, I'm taking Stafford. I think Aaron Rodgers is overall better, and maybe not by a lot because I love Stafford.
It's close.
You know, me and Anthony both, we love Stafford. But if you're going to tell me I get 1 or 2, because you're probably only getting 2 years out of either of those.
I'll say this. I think maybe overall Aaron Rodgers was a pinch better career, but I like
Stafford right now.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Aaron Rodgers is better overall for a career. But, man, I don't even know if that's right. Because I bet you if we look at some stats, I bet you Stafford's close.
Stafford might be underrated. Like one of the most he's good, and everybody gives him credit for being good. I'm not saying he's underrated. I'm saying he's underrated in terms of all-time greats. Now, I'm going to tell you what.
Those stats.
His arm hasn't slowed down because I was watching him this year. The dude's still zipping the ball. And I feel like with quarterbacks, their arms go. And you've seen it with Manning when he was at Denver. That defense won on that Super Bowl. But he managed the team. But you see their arms go. I know it myself, just throwing BP to the kids or, you know, your arm goes at some point where you just don't have the same juice in it. Watching Stafford this year, he's at 37 years old. He still had a lot of zip on it. The man's wanting a long-term deal.
His arm's not the issue. It's everything else.
Yeah.
Can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's one of the organizations we always talk about is at the top at all times. So I have 100% faith that they'll make a good decision.
Yep.
I'm not sure what they were doing last year with the Russell Wilson thing, but it worked out. They had a good year. And I don't even think that the quarterback was a big issue for them last year. Both quarterbacks played decent while they were in. They weren't top 5 in the league, but I thought they were serviceable. But Pittsburgh will make a good decision here.
Yep.
The other names I initially heard for Aaron Rodgers was the Raiders. Raiders just got Pete Carroll.
But he's going to be looking to make a move.
They got Tom Brady involved over there. So I do think that's an option. When we were going through these teams, what was the number one thing that we kind of said? He's not going to go to a bad team, right?
I don't think he.
Well, he did just go to the Jets, so maybe he does go to another bad team. But look, we came across two bad teams that we thought he might go to. The Raiders were one. The other one is the Giants. He's already in New York.
What about the Titans?
I have heard a little rumblings of the Titans because apparently he owns a house in Tennessee or in Nashville. So
I don't know if he'd go there. I do think he'd fit in with the culture down there, just the people of Tennessee. He's not on the coast. Aaron Rodgers, I think just as a person would fit in. And you say he got a house in Tennessee?
yeah, I think he's got a house either in Nashville or close by. I think they
got a good defense.
they got a lot of work to do. Tennessee's got a lot of work to do.
But do they? Their defense is legit. It's their offense, and they drafted that offensive lineman last year, and they're going to get another good draft this year. You got Aaron Rodgers. Really, one of their biggest issues was quarterback.
That's sticking with him.
Yeah.
Sticking with him.
I think they're sticking with him from what I've heard, just from a standpoint of they still think they're a year or two away. They're like in rebuild mode, but
would they take Aaron Rodgers? I would say they would.
Or do they stick to the rebuild mode they're in? Just depends. Do you want to miss that window of that great defense? Because they do have a great defense right now.
Yeah, I'd probably have to add Tennessee in there as make it three bad teams. The Raiders, Tennessee, and the Giants. Because, look, if he owns a house in Tennessee and he's already close to Nashville, he could probably make that work.
I actually like that trade. It makes sense to me just from a culture thing. Having a house that you were telling me about, they drafted some young players. They got another good draft pick this year. Tennessee might not be as far off as we think. They just got bad quarterback play down there. Listen, I love Levis. He's not good.
Well, here's my question. Is he a little upset that he went there and pleaded his case with the Jets, and the Jets give him ultimatums, and ultimately they tell him they're going in another direction? Is he salty? Does he say, okay, I'm going to jump across town to the Giants?
I can see that. But I also think Aaron might have learned a lesson. I always think Brady was just super smart. And I still think he's one of the smartest people in sports. But I think Aaron Rodgers was dumb enough to believe that he could go to any offense and make them good. And I don't think that anybody can do that. Not just him, not Brady, not Manning, not whoever. I think Dan Marino. In today's NFL, a lot of times you're a product of the environment. Now, you are better than other people, yes, but I don't think it's the years of past when a quarterback could just get you there. But in today's football, you got to have a complete team, man. I really believe that.
So I think a move to the Giants actually wouldn't.
They got some good pieces, Charlie.
I think it's an option. Is the guy going to go from one of the worst organizations to one of the other worst organizations? Because those two are in the bottom five. The Jets and the Giants are in the bottom five, just the way they're ran from top to bottom. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah.
They are.
Well, I've heard that the Giants kept their coach and they kept their GM, but they say they're both, it's do or die time.
I do agree that they have some young pieces, especially offensive with Malik Neighbors. They got Wan'Dale Robinson, who is actually playing really good. I don't even mind their coach. I kind of like their coach.
I do too.
I don't even know why, but I kind of like Dayball.
They got the number 3 pick right now, and if they don't get a quarterback in the free agency, a lot of people got taking Cam Ward, but a lot of people think they're going to try to move that pick because not just for the coach, but the GM. They're on the chopping block. They got 1 year pretty much. So can they take a chance on a rookie, or do they try to move that number 3 pick? If I was the owner, I almost wouldn't like my coach and GM being in the same situation, because are they going to trade my future away to try to win now?
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
They're going to have to.
I would. If I was the GM and coach, I'd have a meeting and say, hey, man, we're in the same situation.
I'd say whatever moves the GM makes, I'd say the owner's probably okay in them.
Yep. I've said this to my buddy Barry. I've hinted at it with you, Charlie. I haven't now. This might not be popular, but in today's NFL, and maybe even in college sports, but I'm going to say it. I think the GM is more important than the head coach. And when I say GM in college, I mean the guys, some of these programs have these essentially like general managers of the NIL and stuff, people putting these teams together. In today's NFL with all the contracts, it's not the team with the best players. It's the team with the best players under the best contracts. I mean, it's just what it is. So my Cats are up by 20. Let's go. We got this, Charlie.
Up 20 with 4 minutes left.
Game off.
Vanderbilt looking good right now.
Sorry about
Looking good. No, I wanted to mention it. We were just talking there. We started the show right around when the second half was starting, and it was a 2-point game, and the Cats are up 20 with under 4 minutes to go. So let's get it.
Pretty resilient team.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Cats here in a little bit.
Yep.
Hopefully by the time we get there, we're sitting on a W.
So that's Aaron Rodgers news. And the other big quarterback news is the Stafford news.
Hold on before we jump, because I think all these teams we're about to mention pretty much are for both of these guys.
I agree with that.
I don't think there's a lot of other teams that need quarterbacks. There is some other teams that need quarterbacks. I just don't see Stafford or Aaron Rodgers going to most of them.
Sure.
So Pittsburgh, the Raiders, Tennessee, the Giants. I think the Giants is a very high option.
The Giants have been mentioned a lot with Stafford. That's probably the hottest.
With Stafford?
The number 3 pick for the Giants.
Yeah. They just came out with that, I think, a couple hours ago. That I think that the Rams are saying they want the number 3 pick. So
I'd heard it.
See how bad the Giants want it.
Yeah. As much as those are the same teams, and I agree 100%, those are the same teams. That's the teams that need quarterback. I do think you're looking at two different situations. The Rams want to keep Stafford. The Rams were really close last couple of years.
They just don't want to keep his wife.
Not just, well, that too, but it's
his wife out of there.
One of the biggest issues with that is I think they could deal with the wife, but I've heard the same thing about the wife, but it's the Stafford wants a long-term deal. He's 37. I love it. He's like, "Did you see my arm this year? I need to cash in." I hear him. I think, look, I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
A long-term deal. If he can get it, get it.
Well, I mean, he's 37 and he
the worst they could say is no.
Dude, look, I bet you if you had like one of the professionals with the NFL team go in and talk to the owner and GM and they say, "Look, evaluate how Stafford looked this year." Dude, that arm looked good this year.
We're going to find out what Stafford really wants.
Would you give him a long-term deal? What's a long-term deal?
No.
What's a long-term deal?
Probably 4 years or more.
Yeah. He's 37.
No, I wouldn't. But we're going to find out real quick if Stafford really wants a long-term deal or if he wants to play for a good team.
Well, he plays for a good team now. If I'll say this.
The Giants might give him a long-term deal.
I know, but if it's about
dumb.
If it is about just that it's not a long-term deal and like he agrees to sign a 2-year deal, he'll stay with the Rams. Him and McVay have a great relationship. Yeah,
he should.
I think they're a little butthurt. I mean, I think Stafford's a little butthurt over the Cup thing. It seems like they're pretty good buddies.
It's business, man.
Well,
you gotta do what you got to do.
And I would tell Stafford, look, Cup's solid. Puka's a talent there, dude. And I've heard the thing people say, well, they're very similar in some things they do. So that shit on Cup. You know why?
When you're a quarterback and you got that guy that's like your go-to guy and y'all just mesh and you just kind of think for each other, and that's probably what it is.
But that's Puka now.
Not so much about the talent. It's just might just be that that's his guy. That's his
shit.
Not so much his buddy, but it kind of like, how like Brady and Gronk.
Yeah.
Or Mahomes and Kelsey.
But that's his
almost kind of thinking the same.
Sure.
Just might be one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So the other teams that me and Anthony mentioned Indy. I had not heard that they were going to go away from Anthony Richardson, but you can get Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford, Indy. Do it.
Richardson's not thinking.
He is weak.
I'm going to say, I think the Anthony Richardson draft pick was maybe the worst draft pick, one of the worst draft picks I've ever seen.
Weak.
Dude, look, there's times players don't work out, but there's some luck in that. You evaluate it, you got a lot of pros saying they're good, and they're bust. It happens.
Hey, DJ Joshua, you're an Indy fan.
Richardson's horrible, dude. And I don't know,
what you think about him.
Richardson, he's not I could have told. I watched him in college. I did not know why they were drafting him just off his physical ability. I will call that the draft. And I know Levis fell, but that was the draft of the physical attributes. Because remember, it was all about how big and strong Levis was and how big and strong Richardson was. There's more to play, especially in today's NFL. There's more to playing quarterback than being a big muscle guy that can throw the ball 100 yards.
I agree. So 3 other teams real quick I do want to mention. This one is just maybe a long shot here, but I think New Orleans could have a shot. New Orleans, Aaron Rodgers, I think that could work.
fit in with I think he'd fit in with the culture in New Orleans. I do.
I'm not sure with the contract situation and all that. I'd have to look into that a little bit more, but I think that could be a long shot. We mentioned Seattle. I think Seattle could be a good fit.
I like it.
They've got some good pieces. I think they're ready to win pretty much right now.
I just don't know if he fits in up there in that city. I just don't think. I think that's totally opposite of what Aaron Rodgers is as a person. Will they even be excited to have him?
I'd take Aaron Rodgers over Geno right now.
Sure, I'm just saying the city as a whole. The city as a whole, it's just very opposite of what Aaron Rodgers is.
All right, and the last team, and this is the one that I think is the most intriguing, and matter of fact, not probably, it will not get mentioned, and it will not happen because of the guy in charge, Jerry Jones, Aaron Rodgers, or Matt Stafford to Dallas.
Listen, I love Stafford to Dallas. I like Rodgers to Dallas because, look, I think Dallas has a really good team. But I think they're going to stick with Dak. I think
they are. You know why?
They got money invested.
Because Dak's got some dirt on Jerry Jones or something. There's no reason he should still be getting paid that much and still be on that team.
I don't think nobody
He's got dirt on Jerry. He caught Jerry doing something.
I don't think nobody would take that contract off from
the Jets.
They ain't taking that contract.
The Jets do a lot of dumb shit. They would take Dak right now, I bet.
I'm not sure.
Back to the Jets and send Aaron Rodgers to Dallas. And while we're at it, go ahead and send Matt Stafford to Pittsburgh. I want all that smoke. I want all that happening. Matt Stafford in Pittsburgh, I would absolutely love that.
I would love Stafford.
I'm not sure he would love it.
I like Stafford in Dallas.
Yeah, I don't think Stafford would like. He did play in Detroit, but they played inside.
Yeah.
He played in L.A., nice sunny weather. The numbers do show that Stafford struggles a little bit more in the cold weather. So I'm not sure that Stafford would like Pittsburgh.
When you're getting older, you cannot like the cold. That's why I don't understand why Rodgers. Like, look, I can just tell. I'm 42. I can definitely tell that I do not like the cold as much as I used to.
Yeah, no shit.
Brady headed south. All the old guys head south. Dude, your bones, they get cold. Go south. You're young, you can handle that stuff.
So Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh, Matt Stafford to Dallas.
I like Stafford to die, but I don't think they'll go that direct. But I do like him.
He'll play in the cold. He's played in Green Bay. He went to the Jets. Maybe he just sticks. Maybe he goes to Pittsburgh. That might be a good fit for them.
I think Dallas sitting on a big year. I do. I'm not a Dallas fan.
They're not with Dak.
I've
told you that, and I'll keep telling you that, and I can guarantee it. I'll bet you whatever you want to bet that he will either get hurt or flame out in the playoffs like he always does. You're not winning with Dak Prescott. You're not winning with Dak Prescott. You're not winning with Dak Prescott. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. I don't know why you like Dallas, but
they got a good team. They had some injuries last year. Their defense is legit.
Terrible quarterback.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong on it. I don't know how I feel about that.
Hey, they get Matt Stafford. Who's their new coach? Who'd they get? They got your boy.
Yeah, I know who.
Junior Shanahan, not Shanahan. I'm drawing.
I'll say this.
I would like Stafford there.
I don't want to see Stafford lead the Rams. They got something good right now. Their defense should be elite next year. Their defense was starting to get really good. They were crazy young. That the kid out of Florida State that was a transfer from like Albany, New York. That dude's killing it. He's probably going to be the top edge rushers in the NFL going forward. They were close to going to the Super Bowl, guys. They were close. And run it back. You got a young defense. You got Puka, Stafford. Do what you're going to do with Kupp and run it back.
I'd like to see him back with the Rams, but if not, I don't even like Dallas, but I think that would be a good fit.
I wonder how that's working out because, him and McVay's always been tight. Do you think that's just a business situation?
Yeah, I do think it's a business situation. They're worried about giving him either big money or a long-term contract.
And I don't blame Stafford for trying to get a block. I understand both sides. I really do.
He should absolutely try to get the longest contract he can get.
This will probably be the last year, or I like to think it's the last year that he'll have this kind of leverage. He looked good this year.
Yeah, and he's trying to get paid one more time.
I don't blame him. I don't
blame him one bit. So chime in, let us know on the social media accounts where you all think Aaron Rodgers and Stafford should go, where you think they should go, where you think they'll end up.
Don't forget Darnold's out there too. or is going to be. I think he's out there.
Yeah, he is. I think. Yep, he is. I'm sure there's some other ones. We'll talk about them as we go, but those were the two big ones that everybody's been talking about lately. So, did want to mention that a little movement on some top quarterbacks, possibly.
Before we get to basketball, real quick, as it gets closer, guys, to the NFL draft, we'll probably get really locked into it. We like the NFL draft, but right now, just a quick rundown, just give everybody an idea of who's out there. This is just a mock draft I've seen, and this is I looked at about 10 of them, and I think this one is more kind of the average, what I'm seeing. Just real quick, we'll run down them, and that way give people kind of thinking about.
Cats by 21.
That's right. So, first pick, Tennessee. Not everybody. It varies, but a lot of people are saying Penn State star Bill Carter to Tennessee makes that defense even better.
If they're sticking with Levis or they're going and getting Stafford or Rodgers, I agree with that pick.
I've heard they don't like the quarterbacks in the draft, but I've also heard that
Tennessee.
Yeah, they do not like the quarterbacks in the draft.
It could be bait. But I wouldn't believe much you hear.
I agree with that.
Say stuff like that. You know what their motives are.
But they do have the number one pick. But yeah, I agree. I've heard a lot of people say that they might try to move the pick to try to get some pieces they need. I actually think that's the smartest move. If there's not somebody you love, you get a lot for a number one pick. And not unless you just think there's a player that you can't live without. Now, I think sometimes them draft picks can be overrated. So you can get that player that can change your whole, the future of your team. But, man, you can get a lot of pieces or some very important pieces with the number one pick.
Oh, yeah. Even if the draft, you get some of the drafts that are a little weaker, people still want the number one.
The only reason I'd really, really want it if there was just that stud quarterback. Besides that, I could always move it. Now, if there's just that quarterback I couldn't live without, for me, it would have been like an Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, those kind of guys. I'll even put Ryan Leaf in there, even though he was a bust. I would have lost my job as a GM. Anyhow, so number 2, Cleveland taking Travis Hunter. They say at the combine he was lined up as a quarterback. So not the combine, but some of the workouts.
If I'm anywhere at the top of the draft and I don't need a quarterback and I'm not in desperate need of a defensive lineman or offensive lineman, I'm taking Travis Hunter.
I like it.
Maybe he doesn't end up being whatever, but these guys don't come along very often. Matter of fact, I don't even know the last time we've seen a legit guy that plays both ways. And look, we know what's going to happen. Eventually, he's going to be a one-way player. But I guarantee you the first couple of years, they will be testing it on both sides. Not full-time, but they're not just going to let that go.
No, they're going to try it.
They're going to try it. So I don't know what he's going to end up being, but I really like the kid. And if I was up there and didn't need a quarterback, I'm probably jumping on Travis Hunter.
I'll say this. I think
they have getting him number 2. Who's number 2?
Cleveland. To me, he's a starting corner. That's his position, and they have a small package for him on offense.
Out of Cleveland, they don't. No, they don't.
So number 3, they got the Giants taking Cam Ward. If they don't pick up a quarterback,
I don't mind it. Cam Ward and Shador, I like both of them. I'm not sure what they're going to end up being in the NFL, but I do like both of them as passers, not just these guys that want to get out and run around. Cam Ward barely runs at all. Shador does run a little bit, but I like both of these guys. They're both bigger guys, and I like their arms.
Yeah.
Though we see all these dual threat quarterbacks, but I don't think these two guys are true dual threat quarterbacks. To me, they seem like passers, and I like both of them.
I'm not a Sanders guy. Cam Ward, I'm solid on. I like Cam Ward. I don't know if I would take him there, but I like Cam Ward. So, number 4, New England, offensive tackle from LSU.
Is there any other quarterbacks besides those two?
No. I think nothing big.
Like top, in like the first round, even late in the first round, nobody else. Who's the next closest?
Who would it be? I'm not sure.
Nobody else. Is just those two guys.
I'm sitting here looking right now. I don't see none jumps right off at me.
None in the first round?
Not
okay. So it's pretty much those two.
No, it is. The next one is Jackson Dart at 36.
Actually, you know what? Now that you say that, I think I've seen something about the Giants were interested in him.
Yep. Trade down. Don't think he meant high. Trade down. Something else.
I didn't see that. So maybe they'll Giants be looking at Jackson Dart.
He's too emotional for me to be NFL quarterback.
Yeah, real emotional. Whoever drafts him will work on that with him.
Boy's got some talent. He's got some talent.
I wish I'd have never saw that one game because
it,
I like everything about the kid except that one time. I've never even seen him like that before.
I lost a little respect for Kifflin, but I think Kifflin was in a bad spot. He just had to put him in. It's like, dude, your dude's lost it out here, dude. It's like you gotta save him.
I'm gonna just assume that Kiffin never turned around and saw him. Kiffin was still coaching the game, and he didn't actually see that because, oh my God, if y'all don't, who are they playing, Anthony?
Florida.
Go back and watch the last about 2 to 3 minutes of the Florida and Ole Miss game. Go look at it on YouTube. Just type in Jackson Dart breakdown, sideline breakdown, and go watch it. He emotionally breaks down big time. And then he had to go back in the game. It was like he broke down because he messed up, but then Ole Miss got like a turnover on the very next play, didn't they? And then
it was a bunch of stuff.
In the middle of breaking down, and they're like, you got to go back on the field.
Then he goes back out, those interceptions. They call it back. He breaks down again. They call it back. He gets another opportunity and throws interceptions. And so he was done. He was done.
Exactly what happened. He come back in after breaking down. He threw an interception like the very first pass. It got called back.
He broke down again before it got called back. He looked over and it got called back.
And then the very next play, he threw another interception to end the game.
We knew he was going to throw an interception.
It was unbelievable.
They showed a picture of Kifflin. You could just see it in his eyes. He knew the boy was done. But you know what? He did bounce back. He played, I forget.
Bounce back.
In the bowl game. I tell you what happened was there was so much on the line for Mississippi. A lot of people think Mississippi could have made a run to win it, and I kind of agree. I don't know win it, but they were pretty good. They rode Georgia. The only team I seen that could roll Georgia.
And they were not emotionally stable enough to get through that playoff. There's no way.
I think there was too much pressure. I seen it with Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix had a chance to go to the playoff and the Heisman. All he had to do was win. We've seen Bo Nix is good. We've seen how good he is down in Denver, but he had that one game where he had a chance to win the Heisman and go to the playoff. And if he lost it, he wasn't probably going to win the Heisman. He wasn't going to the playoff. That's a lot of pressure in one game, dude. And for Mississippi, it was the pressure to go to the playoff. And I think he knew he blew it. And what happened is they caught Florida at the wrong time. Florida really got hot at the end of the year. They got Jacksonville taking the big defensive tackle from Michigan, Mason Graham. The Raiders taking Sanders. I know you talked about him, that you like him, Charlie.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
Deion's probably pushing for Las Vegas.
Yep, I could see
he would love it out there, and I don't think that would be a great situation for him at all.
It's
and in Las Vegas, with all the hype that he's got, he needs to go to like Tennessee or something.
Going back to that pick right before that, Jacksonville, some people got Will Johnson. Now, I'm kind of on that train, but there's probably more people the other way. I think maybe he's a better pure corner than Travis Hunter, but I could be wrong on that. But he's the boy from Michigan. There's such a good corner from Michigan. So who knows who's going to be better out of those two? That's two high-level corners. So, and then just going down from there, people got the Jets taking Warren. There's a handful of people taking
the Jets. Will take whoever the worst player is.
He's the boy from Penn State, the tight end.
He'd be a good. That guy's going to be legit.
Yeah, he is.
If I had to guess one person that won't be a flop, I would say it's going to be him.
He's good. Because they didn't even have a good passing game, and he was good.
Yeah, I don't see him being a flop. He will be a playmaker in the NFL.
No, I agree with that. Got the Panthers taking the Arizona wide receiver. He was a big recruit out of high school, top 10 guy. He went to Arizona with his buddy. It was a big quarterback recruit, but they just never could put talent around him. And so they just kind of hung out there in Arizona. But you could see
that kid's good.
McMillan, he is good. They just didn't have nobody to go with them. They got the Saints taking Michael Williams, the edge rusher from Georgia, and the Bears taking Tyler Booker. So just some names, guys, something to think about. Even though it ain't a strong quarterback draft, I think there's some really good players in this draft. Now, if you like the two quarterbacks, then you would be thinking it's a strong draft. For me, I'm not crazy about the two quarterbacks. I do like Cam Ward a little bit. Sanders, I'm selling Sanders. I'm selling Sanders. I'm buying Hunter. Yeah, I'm buying Hunter. I'm selling Sanders.
I'm buying Sanders' game. I'm selling everything else.
Okay.
I'm selling everything else, and if he goes to the Raiders, I think it'll be a disaster.
Yeah. You got maybe the two best players in college football, and they were playing a weak schedule, and you didn't have a better record. And so I got to blame it on one of them because I think Travis Hunter's a can't miss. So I got to blame it on one of them. So that's kind of where, I'm going to be honest with you, that's where a lot of my thinking is with it. That's kind of where I am. You got the two best players in college football. You're playing in the Big 12. You got to win more games than that. I get
Put up good numbers.
he did, but
Even not just yards and stuff, like his completion percentage was really high.
I read a couple analysts talking about that, and they say that he really doctored up his numbers. He took a lot of sacks. It was something of that nature that he wasn't. It was almost like he was watching his numbers in a sense. There was a couple things to it. I'd have to read it again, but I read it at the time and I kind of looked into it and I seen what the person was talking about.
All right, so this past weekend, Saturday, a lot of stuff going on. I was locked into the Kentucky Texas game, but there was a lot of good stuff going on.
There was a lot of good games.
All-Star weekend was going on Saturday. The All-Star game was on Sunday, but Saturday they had the skills competition, the three-point and the dunk contest. And there was also the hockey game that everybody's been talking about, the Four Nations. It's a new tournament that the NHL has set up, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's four nations playing a tournament. They play a round robin, and then the top two play for the championship.
What four nations is it? I know it's Canada, U.S., and who's the other two?
Mexico and
Mexico got a hockey team.
I don't.
Time out.
Oh, he's cramping up.
It's my bad.
He's gonna have to rub one out again.
Shit.
Oh, we got our second rubbing one out. Oh, that's funny. So it is Canada, U.S., Sweden, and Finland. Anthony needs to drink more water or eat some bananas.
Dude, my dad got
Magnesium. You stand up.
what's that?
I said you could stand up. He's back. He had to rub one out. One thing we know about Anthony, he is not hanging out with Robert Kraft and Justin Tucker. He is not hanging out with Deshaun Watson. You need to go get somebody else to rub one out before you come over here cramping up.
God bless, huh?
That's the second time he's cramped up in the middle of a episode.
My dad, he has bad cramps, man. It's genetics.
So we USA, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. And the top two, they do a round robin style, and then the top two move on to the championship. The championship is actually tomorrow, Thursday.
Charlie,
I think.
let's talk about what matters, dog. Let's get to the fight.
Dude, it was great. And do you know why the fight started?
Yeah,
They booed the national anthem.
yeah, because they're mad over the terrorists and stuff like that.
So they booed the national anthem, and the opening puck drop, they dropped the gloves and they went at it.
Dude, that's so me. Like the whole thing, that's me.
Well, did you even see the more to the story? So the first guy gets in a fight. They get sent to the penalty box. Well, they go to drop the puck again, and the guy's brother.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, that's great.
The guy's
I love it.
he squares up with the next guy, and he's in the penalty box. So you got brothers for the United States in the penalty box 5 seconds into the game. Then they drop the puck for the third time. There was like two passes, and it gets down to the goalie, and it's a little scrum. They start fighting again. First 9 seconds of the game, 3 fights.
I love it.
It was awesome.
Listen, I love the statement they made. I love the brothers. I love that part of it. And I love that hockey lets them fight. They
They let them fight till they go to the ground.
yeah,
As soon as they go to the ground, they break it up, and
they let them fist fight. That's cool. It's like the referees are sitting there refereeing the fight.
just waiting for them to go down. And it's actually pretty controlled fights.
Like if they start beating each other up and there's blood, but the guy ain't going down, do they jump in then?
Sometimes,
Okay.
yeah, sometimes they'll stop it a little bit early before they go down. But for the most part, the refs don't want to get punched. So they're going to stay out of it. I mean, them guys are throwing.
Dude, I'm so surprised they have it, and I'm glad. I'm so glad. Sometimes that's what you just need, a good fist fight, to get some emotion out. Clean, you don't need to be hitting people while they're down and stuff. I tell my son that all the time. He watches, a fight on a video and people hitting people when they're knocked out. Come on. But sometimes, man, even when we were kids, Charlie, a good fight, you might fight with a buddy, but you might have needed that.
Yeah.
No, you just might have needed it. Then you go down his house the next day and say, hey,
everything's good.
You ready to hoop?
And that's why I said it's kind of controlled. I know it sounds crazy, but the refs let them go until they hit the ground. And when they do hit the ground, they stop. They don't keep beating on each other. They don't try to do any dirty stuff. When they go to the ground, they know the fight's over, and they both stop. They get up. They go to the penalty box. No. Nobody ever jumps in.
There's nothing the matter with that, dude. I actually think that's good. I want to show that to our kids. There's nothing the matter with getting in a good fist fight. But, like I told you, I've seen these videos and stuff on TikTok, and these guys, man, they'll have people knocked out on the ground. They're cold knocked out. They're taking shots at their head when they're knocked out.
That's how you go to jail for the rest of your life, because you accidentally kill somebody.
What are you thinking? Over an argument, not even over like, okay, this guy beat the shit out of my dad and put him in the hospital or something. Over an argument in the store, you're going to hit somebody when they're knocked out?
They might just be trying to make a video. Fucking idiots. I hate it, but I love the fighting in hockey.
I love it.
If you're not a hockey fan, if you don't watch hockey, I promise you, watch tomorrow night. Anytime there is international hockey, when these guys are playing for their country, catch them in the Olympics, this new thing, I hope they do this every year. I'm not sure if this is going to be an every year thing, but it absolutely better be an every year thing. You get these guys playing for their country, and it's just different. Even the NHL playoffs, it is as exciting of a sport that you will watch, especially in person. In person, it is awesome. I don't know if there is a better sport in person. I'm telling you, it is intense. So check it out tomorrow night. It looks like the game is at 8 o'clock. It's USA and Canada. Again, this is for the championship. And this time, guess what? It's in America.
Oh, man.
I think that last one was in Ontario.
Yeah.
This one's in Boston.
I didn't know they had to beat them again.
This one's in Boston. Now, this is the championship.
Yeah.
That was pool play.
I got you. Nice.
So tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, I will be tuned in. ESPN, check it out. It will be intense, and it'll be a must-watch from start to finish. It's not one of them things you got to wait till the end. Watch it from the start to the finish.
Do you predict you predict any fights, or are you thinking to stay clean?
No, there are going to be fights.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be fights.
I'll say this, as I think
it might not be like that. It's probably not going to start like that. But, and I don't know, because look, when they, like regular season hockey, they fight. But when they get to the playoffs,
is the NHL,
they don't fight.
Is the NHL or anybody putting this on, or is this just something separate?
Yeah, this is the NHL.
Oh, they are putting on.
The NHL is holding this.
But it's probably been good publicity for the NHL. So
I guarantee it.
So
it's awesome.
So I got thinking about it as you've been sitting here talking. I guess it ain't as bad as what it seems. I like a good fist fight, but I would say when you got those skates on, I know they're punching hard. I've seen them get busted open. But them guys are some big athletes, but it's probably hard to generate a really powerful punch with skates on.
Well, have you seen how they do it? They grab with one.
Okay.
So both guys got a hold of them.
So you can't really push a leg into the ground like when you're hitting a baseball, like you can get that front side resistance in your punch.
Well, you're holding on with your left hand and you're punching with your right.
That's giving you your leverage.
And the guy's also holding on to you. So it's almost like a round and round thing that you're kind of holding each other up and then trying to pound each other. So
does it always happen that way? Pretty much.
Almost always. They don't really think you square up, dude. I think they grab each other.
Well, I think it'd be hard to punch with skates on because, when you punch, just like when you hit a baseball, you get your foot in the ground, you get that front side resistance.
Yeah, they probably partly need that to stay up.
Yeah, no, they do.
They're almost holding each other up and then pounding each other.
You can't kick nobody because you might kill them.
Well, not the kicking part, but I have seen that happen. Skate come up, dude fell. This was it wasn't too long ago, man. This was like probably 6-7 years ago.
The River Frogs game?
No, I think it was in the NHL. Guy fell and his feet came up in the air, and another guy was skating past him, and the skate slit his throat.
Killed him?
No, it didn't kill him. but it literally slit his throat. There was blood just everywhere. Like instantly, there was blood everywhere. And the dude was holding his neck. It was scary.
Yeah.
Real scary. No, that guy didn't die. I don't think he died. I do think it ended his career. I mean, it literally slit his throat.
Mm-hmm. You know what I always think?
Lucky he
stupid?
didn't die.
When I see the football guys hit each other with their helmets on, it's like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing?
I seen a video the other day. It was a video of Dion the first time that he came back to Atlanta after leaving Atlanta, going to San Francisco, him and Andre Rison, just punching each other in the helmet.
Yeah.
A bunch of idiots.
All right, what are you doing?
So I love the hockey. I was watching the Kentucky game because that's what I do. But, man, I really wanted to watch more of that hockey game, and I can't wait till tomorrow. But there was some other stuff going on. 3-point contest. Our boy, Tyler Hero, the Kentucky boy, he's not from Kentucky, but played for Kentucky, wins the 3-point contest. Yeah. Anthony, you said something about he actually had the lowest score after the first round?
Well, the lowest of the top three. So how it works, I think they start with like 7 or 8 or how many ever number, and the top 3 advance to the second round.
After 2 rounds.
Yeah.
After 2 rounds of shooting.
Yeah. So in the first round, he had 19. Buddy Hield had 31.
Hield's won a couple of those.
Garland had 24. So Hero had the lowest out of those, but in the last round, Hero had 1 more point than Buddy Hield. He had 24. Hield had 23. And Garland had 19. So congratulations to Travis Hero. Tyler Hero. I always used to think that he needed to shoot more at Kentucky. He's a high-level scorer.
He is, but let's be honest here. When he first came to Kentucky, nobody thought he was going to be a one-and-done and an all-star.
He was like a top 30 guy, but there was guys that were the bigger recruits. Yeah. And I think that that's when the high school thing was kind of big, and he just kind of set a little bit backseat to those guys until he got his confidence going.
Turned out to be a good player. He's a all-star now and playing really good these last couple of years. I think he's had some breakout years. So
he's a baller.
Tyler Hero.
Yes.
Dunk contest, Mac McClung, 3rd championship in a row, first person to ever win 3 in a row. The white boy, what do you think?
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
I'll be honest with you. I think he's overrated as a dunker. Pay attention to almost every dunk he does. Seriously, go back and look at him. I did, just because me and my son got the argument over it. Every dunk he almost does has the guy holding the ball up in that position. Can he palm the ball? I don't think he can.
No, he probably can't palm it. But I disagree. I think he's done some really cool dunks.
I get it.
The last one where he tapped it, that was awesome. And the jumping over the car, we've seen the jumping over the car before, so it's not even like it's awesome. But I don't know, something about him doing it. I thought it was a great dunk. The one that kind of like you're talking about, where the guy held it up.
They always hold him up.
He dunked it. No, I think he caught a lob, and then the other guy was holding one.
That wasn't that impressive. Everybody loved that.
That wasn't. No,
the guy was holding the ball right.
That was his least impressive of any of them.
It's
the dunk. I thought the last dunk was by far the best.
I read in a comment section somewhere that, he's a gymnast playing basketball. He can jump. The guy can jump. That's his special ability. He can jump. And it's not just him. Even though I think he's overrated, I think the NBA kind of promotes him.
Well, yeah, he's not even in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's in the G League. He always has.
Well, you listen to the announcers, I think they overhype his dunks a little bit. But whatever. I mean, I get it, and it is what it is. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see it. But I think a lot of the dunks anymore, they do different dunks, but I don't feel like the dunks are hard no more. I feel like these guys are dunking, and they're barely finishing off the dunks. And I get that because they're trying different things. But like when they dunk it, they're barely getting their arms up there. The dunk contest years ago, and just dunking in general years ago, wasn't just about dunking. It was about dunking hard. Like when Vince Carter did his 360 windmill, he just didn't do it and can barely complete it. He jammed that motherfucker home. Like it was hard.
It was a badass dunk.
And I'm not taking that away from
the best dunk contest. I don't care. Y'all can tell me that the Gordon a few years ago, that was a great dunk, but that Vince Carter.
That dunk with that 360.
Not just that dunk. That dunk was awesome. But that was when he put his arm in and hung by his elbow. Nobody had ever seen that.
No.
Nobody. Plenty of people have tried to do it, and it never gets the reaction that it did. And just like you said, he didn't just go in and put his arm. He slammed his arm whole.
There's a difference.
Hard.
There's a difference.
Like,
there's a difference.
He didn't break his damn elbow as hard as he did that dunk. And that had never been seen before. Never been seen. That was the best dunk contest that ever.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I went back and watched it. Me and my son was arguing, and I just said, man, maybe I seen it wrong. And I went back and watched it. No, I didn't. That 360 windmill, it was just so...
First 360.
Yes, it was so smooth. It looked absolutely perfect. It was so hard. I mean, he jammed that son of a bitch home. And it wasn't like he was reaching at the very end to finish it all. Some of these dunks anymore, they're barely getting the arm up because, they're trying some hard stuff, and I'll give them that. But he completed that dunk with a lot left in the tank. It was just how he did it, the perfection of how he did it. Some of these dunks that I've seen people do are impressive, but they're barely getting them up there, and they're like reaching at the last second. That was just, that was a thing of beauty. It was just powerful. To me, a dunk, it ain't just about what you do. It's how you do it.
That Aaron Gordon dunk a few years back was awesome because I think what made that so awesome was that he did something that nobody had ever seen either.
Aaron Gordon's, he's a dunker.
He's the one that went under, like sat down in the air and put it on.
Oh yeah, that was hard.
It was just something nobody had seen yet. It was something different. And getting it done on the first dunk.
I would like
that matter.
It does. It does.
Matter.
And get it smooth. Like I told you about Vince Carter being smooth with it. It's one thing when you do it, you barely get it up, and you can see that you struggle to get it. But yeah, you got it. I give you credit. But to me, a dunk's a thing of art.
So there was a guy for the Bulls this year. Did you see him? I think he's a white boy.
Oh yeah. I know. He's pretty good. Pretty good player.
He couldn't even dunk.
Yeah.
He missed. He was terrible attempts, throwing the ball all over the place. Oh man!
Look! I'll say it. NBA, quit trying to promote the white dunkers, dude. I'll say it.
Here's the real question: why aren't the stars doing it?
Because they're scared. They're scared to lose.
Why aren't the stars doing it?
So look, I've understood.
I never did it.
I don't understand it, but I try to look at it from their viewpoint. But the NBA is struggling. Okay, it's struggling for viewers. You have made millions of dollars with the NBA. I'm not saying off the NBA because you make it together, you're partners. But you see that your league's struggling. This is where I get upset, Charlie. The reason these big contracts are there and stuff is because the people before are the ones, those guys didn't get those monster contracts like they get today. The NBA was growing, it was in its growth years. And they're the ones that put the framework down for them to get these monster contracts, to get the players union. They're the ones that built up the NBA what it is today from where it was yesteryears. And they did that, and they competed. They made the league strong. So now they're strong. These guys are coming in. They're making all this college NIL money. They're coming in the NBA making crazy amounts of money. They're not playing in games. They're resting games. Here the NBA is struggling from a number standpoint. And so everybody else has built this league to what it is. And you're not going to do your part to help revive it a little bit, and you're making all this damn money when players 30, 40 years ago, or even 20, 30 years ago didn't make that much. Shame on you guys. Shame on you, LeBron, for,
I don't even blame LeBron now. He's 40-something years old, but LeBron never did it. He should have did it back in his prime.
No, but I'm saying setting out the All-Star game this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to that. Well, we're on it. Might as well. He pulls out of the All-Star game at the last second, and he holds out long enough where, guess what, Anthony? They can't replace him.
Yeah.
No replacement play.
He knew what he was doing.
That's a bitch move.
It is a bitch move.
That's a bitch move. I respect LeBron for his game. He's
good. He's good.
Greatness. And I do think that he's
great.
The best players, and we are witnessing greatness. And I do respect that. I don't like the flopping. I don't like some of the stuff that he does. I don't care about his politics and what he thinks. I don't like his flopping and the way he acts on the court sometimes. I love his game, but I don't like the extra shit. But this is petty, dude. This is selfish, and it's petty, and it goes back to what you just said. Why are you not helping your league out? Why are you being selfish? Why aren't you giving another young guy or whoever it is, the next guy on the list, the chance to come play in that All-Star game?
Not just that, but you owe something this league, even if it's just you don't think that you've made the league money. You've made a lot of money off the league, but the league is literally giving your son a spot in the league because of you. Dude, if somebody did that, I'm not mad at LeBron for that. I'm one of the guys that I understand because we've all done things for our kids and I would do the same for my kid. I'll give LeBron a thumbs up for that, for using his leverage. But if somebody did my kid a solid one that I know didn't deserve it, but gave him an opportunity, I'd be indebted to them for life, Charlie.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if it's got something to do with some kind of streak he's got. Because he's probably been an all-star every year, right?
Yeah, but
I know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If he opts out or sits out and they replace him, technically, is he an all-star? You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't like being.
But is it because he's got some like 20-year streak going on here and he didn't want to technically not be an all? I don't know that.
I get it, but to me, then the streak shouldn't be yours.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want it. I'm that kind of guy. I know you talked about the Kyle Ripken streak. You've told me about some games he was going to miss, and maybe the Orioles did that. I'll be honest, I don't like that from Cal. It should be an honest streak.
And I'm not saying that's what it is because I have no clue. Maybe if he sits out and they replace him, maybe technically he still is an all-star. So I do not know that that's it, but I just came across my mind there. Maybe it's got something to do with, because he's been all-star every time. Regardless what his reasoning was, he denied another player a chance at coming and being an all-star.
Look,
maybe it was that player's first time ever. I don't know.
Any of those top stars, basketball has gave you so much. Look, let's be honest about it, guys. And I don't know. Maybe some of these guys would be super successful in life, but the odds of being super successful, it's hard. It's very competitive in the real world against some really smart people, some really ambitious people. Basketball is giving these guys a life that we would only dream of. Okay, just because you're born athletic and you're really good at a game, that's fine. I love sports. I mean, people say I get paid too much. Well, that's what the market calls for. We're kind of sports crazy. That's why it is. So I would tell us to kind of quit paying those prices. But whatever, that's what the market's calling for. But basketball is giving you something, a life that is just, you're almost like a king. And you see your league struggling. You see basketball struggling a little bit. They give your son an opportunity that nobody else would get. He's not good enough. Give it back, dude. Give it back. That's all I got.
I don't like that at all. So LeBron, you're a bitch for that.
I'll say that to all the players in the NBA. They're doing all this little rest and stuff during the league. I mean, the league's struggling, guys. I think back to, you might not remember this, and this might be a stretch, but you remember that girls' baseball movie, A League of Our Own?
Oh, yeah.
Had all the big actors in it. Remember, they said it was based off true story, and even what happened, but the league was struggling, and the girls were trying to really play hard and do things for the league to try to, and this was a league, they were barely making any money, but they wanted to see the league keep going for the girls. And I would tell the NBA players, we're sitting here resting and doing all this, and all these guys that came before you built it to what it is, and now you're just, wow, it's hurting. You're not going to fight for it. To whatever.
I agree 100%. All right, Sunday, the All-Star game. I did like the new format that they had. I thought it was pretty cool.
It was.
4 teams playing in a single elimination tournament. No clock. They were playing to 40, which I thought that was kind of different. I liked it. Who was the coaches? Shaq, Chuck, Kenny, Candace Parker.
Yep.
So a little different format. Candace Parker, you said, she had the Rising Stars.
Yeah, that. So there was a Rising Stars game. There was 2 teams there, and the winner of that game, the team that won it, got a spot in there.
Yeah. So she had the Rising. She was the coach of the Rising Stars. The OGs was what? Shaq. That was Shaq. The global team was
Kenny Smith.
No, that was Chuck.
Okay. Kenny Smith was.
Kenny had the Young Stars, who ended up winning. The
OGs ran through it.
Yep. Shaq and the boys, they did have a squad.
Durant, Steph Curry, they had some dudes.
All the OGs. Yeah. And then they beat the global team, which was also a stacked team. And then you said the winners got $125,000, which is nothing to them, but still $125,000.
$50,000 for second and $25,000 for third or fourth. Now, we had talked about this before on that tournament. The rookies under the rookie deals, if they could have got that 125, that'd been nice for them. Now, they didn't get it. They got 25, but still, for them, that's extra money. I bet you, as crazy as it sounds, even the OGs, I bet you A lot of those guys appreciate extra $125,000. I mean, that could be play money for you.
Yeah, they want that 125,000.
Who wouldn't?
You better want
I
it.
wonder if your agent gets any of that money.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think we talked about that last time, didn't we? Yeah, I'm not sure. So that was pretty much it with the All-Star game. Pretty exciting weekend, though, between Kentucky playing, the hockey, and then the All-Star stuff. I thought it was a pretty cool weekend.
You know what I think they should do with that to make it cool? Give them a bag of cash. Now, I get they got to pay taxes. It's NBA. They got to pay taxes. But whatever it is, make it to where that amount's there in a bag of cash and have everybody have a bag of cash.
There you go.
I like it, dude. It'll give it a different flavor. I know a lot of people don't use cash no more, but it's almost like the Floyd Mayweather thing. You have that cash money right there.
Straight cash, homie.
You know, at the poker tables and stuff, they always put the cash on the table. I do think that brings a different element to it. You see that money? It ain't just a number. It's just $100 bills. If anything, it's a good photo op.
All right, college basketball. The Cats just got a win. Beat Vandy. Get a little revenge. Vandy beat us a couple weeks ago. We come back. Got a win without Butler and Robinson, both still out. I think at this point, Anthony, just stay out until they're 100%.
I'm with it.
Because from what I've been seeing, what I've been reading, and I hope this is true, and hopefully it won't matter because hopefully we don't lose out. But I think we're pretty much a lock.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty much a lock.
Especially after tonight. We're already, even going into the night.
Games left?
Yep. Even coming into the night, Lenardi still had us as a 3 seed. So,
and that's after a loss. Last week when we did this show, we were playing a number 4 ranked Tennessee. We won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Big win.
Big win because that's
swept Tennessee.
Because our guards Butler went down late in that game.
Butler went out late.
And that's the issue because we were already without Robinson. We had no point guard at that point.
And I ain't going to lie. When he went out, I was worried about the rest of the game.
I was listening to it on the radio on the way home, and the announcer said it like, where is this going to come from? And I'm not even sure they ran good offense. They just hit some big shots.
So we got that win, swept Tennessee, another quad 1 win, add another top 15 win.
Real quick, Amari didn't miss a shot. I have to look up his numbers, but he put up some crazy.
He's been dominating the last few games, completely dominating, playing really good. We need some of our other guys to step up. We got the game on here, but I don't know the stats, but we need some guys to step up. Kobe Brea, I'm just going to be honest. He's been on the struggle bus. He's a catch and shoot guy, and when he's not catching and shooting and making, he's a liability.
When you don't have a true point guard out there, I think he's tough to have in the lineup. He's a guy that needs to kind of just stay floating, catch and shoot guy. A really good shooter.
Got to have somebody get him the ball.
Yeah. So to me, if you're missing both your point guards, then everybody else you have on that court, they got to be good at their position at creating offense for other people. Almost by committee, Charlie, if that makes sense.
Yes. What's his box score look like from today?
Who's that? Brea, he had 4 of 6 field goals, 3 of 4 from threes, and just 1 rebound. But he did have 3 assists, so he had a decent game actually.
Yeah, 12 points. So he knocked down some shots. He was 3 of 4. But I'm saying if he's 3 of 4, he's doing it. Like that's what we need him to do. But when he's 1 for 6 or 0 for 5, the problem with Brea is that he struggles to defend. And I'm not trying to call Brea out because I like Brea. And he is not the only one that struggles to guard on this team.
Oh, I think Noah's getting a little bit too much minutes right now. I mean, he ain't getting a lot of minutes, but he had 0 of 4 from threes today. I watched him the other night. And don't get me wrong, I do like him and the future of Kentucky, but right now, I guess with your 2-point guards out, that's why he's getting those minutes.
It looks like Colin Chandler got some time today and actually did all right. So it looks like 7 points, 6 rebounds. 2 assists, 2 steals.
He did.
Look, we need that out of that guy. I'm going to tell you the other real disappointment for us, Brandon Garrison.
Okay.
And we are so lucky that Amari has been dominating because Carr has been off. Of course, he's been banged up, but he's been off. But Garrison he does nothing out there. And I think his ceiling is actually really high. Well, I thought that. I'm not sure if that's the case. Seems to be a super athletic guy. Maybe he just hasn't put it all together yet. I'm hoping he's going to be a 2-3 year guy here for us. I'm not sure what grade he's in, but hopefully we have him for another year or two. But look, tonight, 15 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. He's a big guy. So he's in there for 15 minutes and doesn't score and only gets 1 rebound. It's just not doing it. And we don't have many more big guys. So we need Carr to step up, because Carr was good at the beginning of the year, and Amari is dominating right now. Amari's one of the best rebounders in the country.
Yeah, I agree with that. No, I do.
And if Garrison's going to continue to get 15 minutes or more, he needs to step it up.
We need Butler back. Butler, I mean,
both of them back.
I like Jackson Robinson. I think he's great, but I think Butler is the heart and soul of this team. From what I picked up on it,
Get out until they're both 100%.
I agree with that.
Come back in March. We need them as close to 100% when the SEC tournament starts.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, like I said, I think we're a lock. Now, we don't want to lose 7 in a row, because we'll end up, instead of a 3 or a 4, we'll end up a 9 or a 10 seed or something stupid.
We're gonna be all right. I like Chandler, the young guy. I think he's got a good future.
It was on that retreat for 2 years,
Yeah.
so he hasn't played basketball so I think
He was a 4-star coming out of high school. He had the good relationship with Mark Pope, and he committed to BYU because of Mark Pope over his home team, which was Utah, and they're big rivals. So for him to pick BYU, he must have really thought a lot of Mark. And of course, he went on his retreat. So I was, with BYU. For those that don't know, the whole state of Utah as a whole, it's where BYU is too. It's a lot of Mormons there, and they go on their retreats. But he was a 4-star recruit. He was a big recruit for that area. He was a high 4-star. And he was a big recruit for that area, and he stuck with Mark Pope. And when I watch him, I think he's pretty solid.
he's a guy like Brandon Garrison. I think his ceiling is high. I think
He's a freshman.
I think that kid can be really good.
And
Chandler,
not playing basketball for 2 years, as much as these kids play AAU ball and stuff, that's tough, Charlie.
that's a good stat line for him. 15 minutes,
He filled it up.
7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. So that's what he does in 15 minutes. Brandon Garrison, the same exact amount of time, 0 points, 1 rebound. He did have 2 assists.
So if you put the 15 minutes, just say you equate that into 30 minutes. So he would be, I'm just saying, if you took the averages he had this game, he would have 12 rebounds. He would have 4 assists.
14 points.
14 points.
I'll take that all day.
That was a lot in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I love that. Looks like Almanor, he has been a big-time surprise shooting the ball. 3 for 5 again tonight from the three-point line. That's only 9 points he had, but that kid's been a surprise from three-point land. Otega Owe, 20 points. He's had double digits every game this year.
Yep.
Looks like a pretty solid stat line. Carr had 11. Amari had 17. Owe had 20. Brea had 12.
We're going to make a run for a Final Four, man. We got to have Butler. Got to have it.
Yeah, we need both of them.
I agree with that. I agree.
What's our schedule looking like here the rest of the year while we're on Kentucky? We'll talk about some other teams here in just a minute. At Alabama this weekend. Next week at Oklahoma, and then Auburn. And then the final week, we got at home against LSU, and then at a 15th-ranked Missouri. So
Life in the SEC is rough, even when we've already played a crazy hard schedule. Man, that's crazy.
Yep, we have 3 top 15 teams left, and at Oklahoma and LSU at home. So,
And you got Duke running through the ACC, not having to play very much at all.
let's see, at Alabama, let's say you lose that next game at Oklahoma, you would hope to win that one. You'd hope to not lose both of those.
You win one of those.
You need to win one of those. At Alabama is going to be hard, so you're going to probably be looking at a second road game in a row at Oklahoma. Be nice to get that, because then guess what? You got Auburn coming in the next game. So
One of the next 3, a big plus would be 2 out of them.
yeah, you need to get one of the next 3. Absolutely. Then you got LSU and Missouri. Missouri is ranked 15th, and that's at Missouri, last game of the year. Let's split those two. It would be 2 and 3 to end the season. That's not what I want, but if we can win 2, that puts us at what? 20 and 11?
Look, I'm not a
With
big.
the wins that we got, dude, we got like 8 quad 1 wins.
I would like to have a good seed, and it does benefit you a little bit, but not unless you're like a top 1 or 2 seed. you got to play these teams. So you got to play a tough team. Yeah, that makes it harder from that standpoint. If you're a 1 seed, you get a 16 seed, which is like not a bye, but kind of like a bye. But once you get into those 2 and 3 seeds, but will the 2 and 3 seeds be as tough now because of the NIL and the portal? These teams taking these players from these lower ranked teams. Are the 2 and 3 games as tough as they used to be because now those players are transferring to the bigger schools? So yeah, that's something to think about.
So now that I'm thinking, with the way our season's going, Anthony, you know what's going to happen. We're going to go to Alabama and win. We're going to go to Oklahoma and lose.
Yeah.
We're going to come home and play Auburn, and we're going to win. Then we're going to play LSU and lose. Then we're going to go to a 15th, maybe a 10th ranked Missouri, and we're going to beat them.
Yep.
So we're going to actually go 3-2, and we're going to get 3 more top 15 wins on the way, and we're going to lose to Oklahoma and LSU.
The guy just threw his clipboard. He just threw his clipboard.
Nate Oates.
Yeah, he just threw his clipboard.
So I'm gonna rephrase we're gonna be 21-10, and we're gonna add 3 more quad 1 wins and 2 more top 5 wins, and we're gonna end up being like a 2 seed.
Yep.
Just the way our season.
No, it has.
Our season it's kind of been crazy, Anthony. We beat Duke. We beat Gonzaga. We beat Florida, who is now ranked 2nd, only has 3 losses on the whole year. Beat Texas A&M, who is now ranked 11th. We swept Tennessee, who is ranked 8th.
I think we're the only team Tennessee's had trouble with.
It's unbelievable. Lost to Arkansas and lost to Georgia and lost to Texas. It's been a weird season.
It has.
Really has.
Really has.
Season. So, Kentucky, get healthy. Keep your guys out. Let's go 3-2 to finish this season. Get Butler, get Robinson back for March because that's what matters.
Honestly,
I like what you said. We're going to make a run.
Yeah, I really believe that we're a top 5 team with our full team. I believe that. That might be a stretch, but when we're healthy.
Wouldn't you much rather beat the good teams and lose to the bad ones than the other way around?
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to beat the bad teams and lose to all the good teams.
Because you can make an excuse. You can't make an excuse, but you kind of can. You can just, we're good enough. We're just those teams. If you just beat, look, you see it. I'm not going to name nothing, but you see some teams that college football, college basketball that they beat all these weak teams and they play some teams, and it's a lot different when you play the big boys every week.
SMU. Oh, excuse me.
Louisville.
Excuse me. Yeah, Louisville. Speaking of Louisville, I'm getting texts saying Louisville's trending up, Kentucky's trending down because y'all lost 3 of 6 or whatever, and they want to say they're trending up. Trending up. They beat like 4 teams in a row that were under 500.
Dude, listen, I don't even hate him. Actually, piece of me likes him. Their coach is wild.
He's almost good.
He is.
He's a goofball.
But yeah, at least he has good energy on him. Dude,
I know a guy that looks exactly like him.
He's pretty short.
I'll bleep the name out, but do you know Ricky? You don't know him?
No, he looks just like him.
Looks exactly like him. I have to show you a picture of him.
Yeah.
Looks just like him.
Dude, he's a crazy little motherfucker.
He is wild. And he's got good energy, man.
He does.
Look, he does. If I was a Louisville fan, I'd like him. Man, he's got good energy. Dude.
Better than what they had.
It kind of sucks that we kind of like their coach, and I'm sure they don't dislike Pope. I mean, it's almost like a friendly rivalry. Man, we need Cal and Patino back. Them boys was ready to beat each other.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, the rivalry was hated. Right now, it's all happy-go-lucky.
I'll never forget when Cal came in that first year, and we had our down years. Louisville, it just things had been good for us. Cal came in with those players, and dude, you talk about that hockey match, the tension in the air when they started. That same tension was in that Kentucky Louisville building that day. I remember Cousins was ready to fight somebody right out of the gate. And what was cool about it was those guys weren't from Kentucky, but they bought into it because the fans were there. And, they always say that the players never played for the name on the front. I call BS there because you know what? At that moment, those guys were all about it, dude. They brought it and right in. It was almost like we just met these guys and we told them a story about we didn't like these guys, and they were all in.
I think all them guys knew the rivalry that Cal and Patino had.
Yep.
They might not have known about it before they got there, but when they got there, you better believe that Cal let them know about the rivalry that they had and how much he wanted to win that game and how much that game meant to Big Blue Nation. But Cal was really good about that.
Yeah.
Of understanding that rivalry.
That was
and of course, Pitino knew it.
I'm not saying it was the best. It could have been. It could have been. 38-1 was good. That national championship was good. 96 is great. There was about 5 teams I put in the argument, and I know a team didn't win it, but that team might have been the best Kentucky team ever. I think there's about 5 teams.
Yeah, John Wall and them.
They were good, dude. Their average point of victory was actually, I think, higher than anybody's. They got cold in that one game.
Got stuck in a rut against West Virginia.
I think 0 of like 20-something from 3.
Hated that shit, man.
I
always said Jody Meeks.
They didn't just beat people. They dog walk people. I mean, they would dunk. I mean, they were flashy. They were good. They were loaded.
If Jody Meeks comes back for his senior year, undefeated.
Or we would have got Thaddeus Young. We were recruiting Thaddeus Young pretty hard. He ended up going to Kansas.
But we needed it. We needed a shooter.
We did. Thaddeus Young was a shooter, too.
Jody Meeks was that guy.
No, he was.
Coming off of score. What did he score? 52 or something against Tennessee that junior year.
It would if we would have had Jody Meeks, it would have been unfair. We'd have
went undefeated.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That team was still almost unfair. 38-1 team, even though they didn't win it, they might be the best Kentucky team. 96 team, the team that won it. So there's been some great teams, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm a Cal lover, but this is what I always say about Cal. You talked about Cal. You told his players, former players, dude. I don't think there's a single coach out there where, at least out of the big coaches, where former players love their coach more than Cal. And, you hear the reputation he gets with them, that he's real with them and that he truly believes, or he really cares about the kids. But it seems like all of his former players and, the kids just really buy in and have his back in whatever he does. So it's probably the authenticity of who he is. Now, I know it's, a lot of Kentucky fans might not like him as a coach, but you at least got to appreciate his authenticity. Whether you agree it should be about the players or not, that was a good quality he had.
You know why? Main reason why we needed Jody Meeks, because our best shooter that year was always high as hell.
Yeah.
Darnell Dotson.
Yeah,
he was a sharpshooter. He was a gunner. That man got high before every game. My man was high as hell. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Cal was letting him smoke weed or something.
But, that Kentucky team was trying to dunk on you every play, and West Virginia actually was a good game plan by Huggins.
Yeah.
They just packed it in. They were daring us to shoot it. The more they dared us, the more we couldn't hit one. They packed it in hard, and we just could not hit.
All right, real quick, let's talk. They got a fight going on in the stands here.
They pulled away from it. Show it.
Of course, they were showing it for a second. Missouri, it looked like the student section of Missouri at Missouri. Missouri is putting it all in Alabama.
That's what's the matter with the basketball right now. Years ago, I feel like they would have showed that fight. Show the fight. Basketball needs it.
It looked like the student section, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
The student section in Missouri is real drunk. Either that, they're fighting each other, or maybe there was one Alabama fan that snuck into the student section and maybe he was getting beat up. I couldn't tell what was going on.
Get on TikTok in 10 minutes.
Yeah, get on there in a couple minutes because there's definitely some stuff going on. I say a couple minutes. It'll be tomorrow before this episode gets out, but you'll see it. Something happened.
We'll see it on TikTok.
Yeah, Alabama's getting ran right now. They're down 16, 47-31 in the first half, down 16 at Missouri. That's the team that we just talked about, top 15. We play them last game of the year at Missouri, so this is going to be they'll probably be fun. Look at Bart Simpson in the back. Did you see that kid? He had a blonde flat top. That was cool as hell.
Missouri's playing pretty good right now.
Yeah, I said they're going to probably be ranked in the top 10 by the time we play them, but we'll beat them. All right, while we're on college basketball, who you like, Anthony, besides the Cats? I know we love our Cats. All of them, all over them, but who you like?
The easy one is actually
last week you said Alabama.
I did it. I still like Alabama. I know they're going to, but I think everybody goes through those periods. Auburn, especially after he beat Alabama like that, they're the easy one.
Auburn's tough.
Yeah, they're the easy one. I still like Texas A&M.
That's the best team that Bruce Pearl's ever had, I think.
Yeah.
He's had some good teams.
Yeah.
He's had some really good teams at Tennessee. He's had some good ones at Auburn.
I think the average age of the players like 25 or something.
They're like 35.
We still got the COVID year kids. I think this is the last year. So, I mean, you got the transfers. I mean, that's the thing with college basketball now. You got some kids that are 24, 25 years old playing college basketball.
Auburn's got to have the oldest team in the history of college basketball.
Yeah. So, look, they're the easy ones, and they're definitely the team to beat. Actually, I looked at the odds, Charlie. There's a big drop between them and Duke. Now, I think Duke's beating up some weak talent. I do think Duke's good, but the odds are Auburn 3-1, Duke 4.5 to 1 to win the national title. Then it jumps all the way down to Houston at 9 to 1, actually 10 to 1. So there's a big drop between the top two.
With Alabama.
Alabama's 9.5, or right at 10 to 1, about the same. Florida and Houston are about the same. Then it goes to Tennessee at 17 to 1. Kentucky's 35 to 1 right now. I like that as a bet.
That's a good bet.
Dude, I'm telling you, when Kentucky's healthy, I'll put them up against anybody when they're healthy. Now, will they get healthy? I don't know, but I'll put them up against Duke or Auburn when they're healthy.
We've already beat Duke.
Yeah. So it's
and we're going to play Auburn here in a week. So we're going to find out. And look, we've already proved that we can beat Duke. Gonzaga, I already named them. 8 quad 1 wins. So we can beat anybody. We've already shown it. Who's the top 5 right now? Auburn, Florida, Duke, Alabama, Houston. Anthony, we've already beat 3 of the top 5 teams. No, I'm sorry. We haven't beat Auburn yet. We beat 2 of the top 5 teams already.
Yep.
And Tennessee's ranked 6th, and we beat them twice. So we can beat anybody.
No, I agree.
35 to 1, that's too much for Kentucky. I'm not saying we're going to win it. We do have to get healthy. We will not win it if Butler and Robinson are not at least 75 to 80%.
And I'm not saying
the way throughout.
I'm not saying we're the favorite to win it, but I'm telling you, 35 to 1's a solid bet, dude. It's a good bet.
But when we're second in the country in quad 1 wins, we shouldn't be 35 to 1.
No,
I promise you,
we shouldn't. We should.
There's no way.
That's a good bet.
I'm looking at the rankings here and trying to figure out who I like as long shots. Look, it's hard to tell right now.
I don't think you're going to get long. I think there's too much talent at the top. But that's why I think you're not going to see long shots. I think in today's college basketball, the talents are going to certain teams. With the portal, we've seen it with college football. The team's spending money or the team's winning. Do you think you're going to see less Cinderellas in the tournament? Because now those players are starting to get stolen off those teams that are good players.
I think you're still going to see it.
Why? Just because in basketball, anybody can kind of beat anybody on a given night?
Yep.
I agree with that.
Ultimately, I think most of it's going to be the same. First and second round, you're going to get a handful of Cinderella stories. Third round, you might get that one team that sneaks through.
Well, I'm going to make a
But when it gets to the Elite Eight, the Final Four, Anthony, guess who?
The cream rises to the top.
Those teams are not going to win the national championship.
You'll have some teams that get beat that
the Elite Eight.
You have some teams that get beat that probably should have won and had a good chance of winning it, but after a handful of weeks, those Cinderella teams that start weeding stuff out. And I think
mainly that's how it's always been.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Your Cinderella teams get to the Sweet 16. Some of them get really lucky and get to the Elite Eight, and
the luck catches up to them.
Only a handful have made it to the Final Four.
I'm gonna make a prediction a little bit opposite of yours. I'm gonna say that you don't see as many teams, the Cinderella teams, because of the portal, because of the NIL. Players that were really good from those teams that maybe we were underrated guys or good college basketball guys. I think those guys are going to the bigger schools now because they're getting identified and people are going after them in the portal. And I might be wrong about that. It'd really be interesting to watch and kind of observe as the tournament plays out.
So not so much Cinderellas, but I'm looking at the top 25. I'm going to just name a couple teams that I do kind of like here. Wisconsin, playing really good ball right now. Usually I would tell you I hate Wisconsin basketball. I hate Big Ten basketball. It's boring. I think this Wisconsin team is a little bit different.
Big Ten's typically pretty strong, bro.
Wisconsin's got a good team this year. Watch out for Wisconsin.
I used to love Bo Ryan, their old coach. I love that guy. Thought he was a great coach.
Maryland. They're playing good right now.
Who coaches Maryland?
They have Kevin Willard.
Okay.
Watch out for Maryland. Playing good. The big boy, Derek Queen, talked about him earlier in the year. He's not a super athletic guy. He's kind of a brown mound. He's not like fat or nothing, but he's kind of a Zach Randolph.
Them guys can play, Dave. I like those. I actually like those kind of guys. Remember when Denny used to have Denny's late years at U of L? He had the big boy. What was his name? Florida had the meat hook. Remember him? Tractor trailer. Remember him?
Yep.
The meat hook. What was the meat? I mean,
Louisville had
they had the biggest boy.
tractor. No, they called him. What did they call him?
Well, dude, he was big.
He ended up playing in that and one. He was huge. He died. I think he died.
Dude, he was pretty good. Like, he wasn't great, but it wasn't a sideshow.
His name Jackson, something Jackson.
Yeah, Kenny Jackson.
Keith, maybe. I can't remember what it is.
Hey, he was. Didn't you think he was pretty solid?
Yeah, he was decent. Look on the and one tour. He's the huge guy that ran around with the and one guys there for at the end of the and one run. But yeah, Wisconsin's a team to watch out for. Maryland is a team to watch out for. And one more, St. John's. We talked about them last week. They took a loss while we were doing the episode, but they bounced back on Sunday, got another win. And look, they've got Rick Pitino. And there's a video going around of Rick in the locker room.
Yeah, I've
pretty much calling his guys out. Well, Barry sent it to us.
Yeah.
He's calling his guys out, not being tough. Wilton when things get tough, giving up when things get tough. And I think Pitino can will these guys. He's got a good team. He's got a talented team, and we know what Rick's about. He's a motivator.
Yeah.
I think he's got a shot with this team. Maybe not to win it all, but I do think St. John's has got some athletes, and I think they got a chance.
I need to watch them more. So, look, I was looking up that guy from U of L. I hadn't found him. But there was a guy, I guess this was 3 years ago, for St. John's. Look this guy up, Charlie. His name's Connor Williams. I'll let you just look this real quick. Look at this big son of a buck. This boy right here, son, looks like he just picked up.
Oh, he is big.
Son, he's heavy set.
Who does he play for?
St. John's. Well, he did like 2 or 3 years ago. They say he's 360 pounds.
He's not still on St. John's team right now, is he?
Rick ain't let that boy play.
I was going to say, there's no way. Well, he was their coach a couple years ago, wasn't he?
I don't know. Did he play for Rick?
Dude's big.
There was always a rumor when Rick was at U of L and UK, he made trainers and stuff lose weight. Coach at Bellarmine, Scotty Davenport, he coached under Rick. He was a Rick assistant. He's a local legend around here. Dude, the guy's a great coach. They're actually Division I now, and he's won at every level. But he's just stayed with this smaller college, and he coached under Rick. And the story went, he made all of his assistants lose weight, and Scotty had a little bit extra weight on him. And I did a job for Scotty one time, and Scotty said it was real. He said, dude, he put us all on diets, made us work out. He said it was going to be the culture. You know, you always heard the Nazir Muhammad story, right?
What's that?
And Naz, you know, he played in the NBA a lot of years. He went to Chicago to watch Nazir Muhammad. Nobody was recruiting him. I give Rick credit on this. He was a big, heavy-set kid, but Rick had seen him on video and just thought he had great hands. And Rick went and watched him play the game and supposedly approached him and said, I got a scholarship for you at Kentucky, and really surprised Nas. And, you know, Kentucky was a big thing at the time. He says, but I'm just going to tell you, you're going to do this, this, and this, or, you know, the scholarship's gone. And pretty much he got him in there, like a very strict diet, very strict, you know, regimen. And they say Nas brought right into it. Nas was a hard worker, brought right into it. Probably looked at it as an opportunity. Dude, the rest is history. Nazir Muhammad was really good at Kentucky.
And he had like a 22-year career in the NBA. And now I think he's like I have to look this up, but he's in the front office for somebody.
Dude, and Rick did that for him. Or didn't do it. Nazir did it for himself, but gave him the opportunity. Rick's seen that, though. And I'll give Rick all the credit on that talent evaluation. It's easy to pick out the good ones, but you find those diamonds in the rough. Look, I'll always say this. I think Nas had the best set of hands I ever seen on him. The guy had hands. They throw it to him in the post. It's like he never fumbled the ball. Almost like the Marvin Stone hands. Remember Marvin Stone?
Will Levis.
Yeah. Hey, Marvin Stone. Listen, Marvin Stone was the number one recruit in the country. I think Tubby might have got him. He was at Kentucky. Number one recruit. He ended up transferring to UVA. He had the worst hands I've ever seen.
Did.
The guy actually had a good body.
His last name was Stone.
He would have been decent. He would have been pretty good, but his hands were horrible.
Troy Jackson.
Yep. Troy Jackson had nothing on Connor Williams, though.
Escalade.
Yeah, he was good.
Remember?
Yes, he was good.
He went to AN1 and they called him Escalade. And I said he passed away not too long ago. He passed away in 2011.
We're getting old, Charlie.
Yeah, it's been 14 years. And actually, he was and I never knew this. He was the younger brother of Mark Jackson. Retired NBA guy.
Wow. I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
I bet you it's hard to be that big of a guy and be able to run him down the court with those guys.
Yeah.
I think he should have been a defensive tackle, because if you can do that at that level and you're that big and you're that tall and big, dude, you're playing the wrong sport. There ain't many guys that are that big and that fast. Go play defensive tackle. There ain't many great defensive tackles. As they say, it's like one of the rarest things to find is a big monster like that can run.
All right, so Alabama is at halftime, still down 13. They also got beat. It was a big matchup last Saturday. Auburn against Alabama, number 1 against number 2. Auburn come out on top in that one, so Alabama's looking at a second straight loss here. But I thought it was pretty interesting. Alabama and Auburn have never played as number 1 and number 2 in football, and then they played as number 1 and number 2 in basketball.
Very interesting. I always feel like it's Alabama or Auburn. One of them's up, one of them's down. Like maybe it's who gets
It is
talent.
kind of how it always works.
Maybe it's whoever gets the talent around there. So
Maybe takes over for about a 2-3 year period.
Yeah, and probably wins the recruiting battles at that point. And
yeah, so Alabama looking at a little losing streak coming up here. Auburn's legit.
no, they are.
Auburn's legit. They are 23-2. They've got one conference loss in by far the toughest conference that I've seen in a long, long time.
I'm gonna say it.
It has stood up. I questioned it at the beginning of the year. The SEC is absolutely legit, and it's held up.
I'll say this. I'm not saying basketball's better today than it was yesterday. I don't know that. And that argument can be made different people at different times. But just from what it is from the best teams in college basketball, when you just look at it from that standpoint of today's teams, I think it's the best conference of all time. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy. I know some of them ACC conferences were tough, but I don't think I've ever seen a conference top to bottom that is this loaded.
I agree. I just counted it up. 9 of the top 25.
It's because of the NIL money. It's because of the NIL. I mean, that's just what it is. The SEC splits a big chunk of money.
I think there's a legit shot for 13, maybe even 14 teams out of the conference getting to the tournament. That is unheard of. Arkansas is
last 4 out. They were last 4 in. But before their loss, they were last 4 in. Now they're last 4 out.
last 4 out. So they're right on the line.
They're playing right now.
Yeah,
Arkansas playing.
They're playing Auburn right now.
They're winning by 1.
Yep.
Maybe not. We're watching the highlights. They're catching up here.
Oh, okay. So it's halftime. Yeah, so they're showing highlights. Looks like they're up 6 at the time.
But Arkansas is playing tough right now. They really are. They're giving everybody good games, winning games.
Sneak in, man. It might be like 14. I think there's about 12 or 13, and I think they would make 14, that's just 12's crazy enough.
Look, I don't know if they'll get in or a team like them will get in, but I would say a team like them deserves to get in. I think they're good enough, dude. I think our conference is that tough. When I see some of these other teams that are allowed to go from these other conferences,
they're gonna give the SEC credit this year. There's no doubt.
they say that.
Can't not.
Well, I don't know if the football and basketball people are tied in through this. I'm sure they are. It's NCAA, but they say that they're really worried that the SEC was really pissed about what happened in football, and that they're going to try to use their leverage to make some changes.
What, in the football?
Yeah, they say. Well, that's what that one guy. Let's say he made a good point. He says, laugh now, but the SEC will get the last laugh on that because they have a lot of leverage. Them and the Big Ten have a lot of leverage, and you get them now, but I'm sure they're going to put your hand to the fire here pretty soon since you did that to them.
All right, so I'm looking. I don't know that there's going to be that many. I don't know that there's going to be 14. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 definites. That would be Auburn, Alabama.
That's still a lot.
A&M, Missouri, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Mississippi State. But after that 9, you got Vandy, Texas, Arkansas, Georgia. So I don't think we're getting 14. But out of Vandy, Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, I guess if you get 2 of them, you're looking at 11. So I've heard 13 or 14, but when I'm just looking right now, it doesn't look like 13 or 14, but it does look like definitely 9 and possibly maybe up to 11 or 12. Over 12 would really shock me because that would mean Vandy gets in, Texas gets in, and Arkansas gets in, and Georgia. I'm not sure that happens.
So they said 5 days ago, Yahoo Sports reported that record amount of SEC basketball teams projected to make the tournament. The Georgia Bulldogs are one of the 14 SEC basketball teams projected to make March Madness.
Okay, so Georgia would be 10.
They're saying 14. And that,
So it would be Georgia 10, but Georgia's way down in the standings. But if they're going to put Georgia in, that's fine. But Vandy's got a better record than them, so that would have to be 11.
So it's probably going to be where 12 to 14.
And then you'd be looking at Texas, Arkansas, and I mean LSU's 14 and 12.
14 on the high side and 12 on the low side. What do you say? You think it sounds okay?
Just what I'm looking at, I see 9 absolutely 100%. I don't think those 9 are not getting in. So
and there's going to be a couple more. Whoever wins the game.
11. Look, I'm gonna guess probably 12.
I'm going to say 12 or 13. I'll say 13 to be different. I like your number. I like your 12 number.
I actually want to say 11, but I'm going to say 12. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think 12 is probably the number. I think
we only get 9 or 10 is still a lot.
Oh, we're getting more than that.
And, hey, never know. Somebody might win the SEC tournament and slide in there. So
I think it'd be hard to beat one of those. You can get through this. You can get through it. It's going to be a gauntlet.
Yeah, but it ain't going to be easier for the top teams. Look, Alabama could be sitting at a 2 or 3 seed in the SEC tournament and come up against a Missouri. And
right. Well, let's talk about this because I thought about this the other day. The SEC tournament might be harder to win than the NCAA tournament. Dude, it could be. It could be because
I don't think could be. I think it
because you're going to play harder games. You can catch some easy games in the not easy but easier games in the tournament.
I think it's absolutely harder. I know that sounds crazy, but I definitely think this year it is harder to go through the SEC tournament round by round. I think for a team to go, especially a team that doesn't get a bye in the SEC tournament, and's got to win 4 or 5 days in a row.
I would say also if you're playing like Kentucky with all the fans they bring there, there's a handful of them, but that Kentucky, a lot of those are home games. I say Pope's first year, as long as we don't end the season on a slide, it's going to be a lot of energy from BBE and, going down there. And so if you're everybody else, it's almost like you're kind of playing road games in the SEC tournament.
And we might be an 8 or a 9 or a 10 seed.
Yep.
So imagine being a 3, a 4 seed, and or a 5 seed, and you got to look at a 10 seed Kentucky, or I'm not sure that up, but you could be a top 4 or a top 8 team, but you get Kentucky in the second round.
Not just that, but good luck with that. You don't think the SEC don't want Kentucky to win, and when Kentucky loses, the crowds go down.
And like you said, you might as well be in Kentucky down there in Nashville that weekend. It's
we used to go
a ton of Kentucky fans go down there.
I used to go to the SEC tournament when I was in Atlanta when I was a kid every year. And the only other teams that even compared with Kentucky at that time was Arkansas. Arkansas always had a very loyal, they were a big basketball school. They still are. Basketball, that's why they're spending the money now, because they got a basketball following. But a lot of those SEC schools are big football schools. I know they're having success, but college football is just a lot more popular in college basketball. So they'll bring fans, but Kentucky really invades the SEC tournament.
Especially now that it's in Nashville.
Yeah. And they invaded Atlanta, dude.
Atlanta was an easy trip too, but this is just a little bit easier.
But it was a bigger stadium in Atlanta. More people could fit in it. They used to call it Catlanta.
And plus, Nashville is a party town.
Oh, I love it being in Nashville. I do miss, because I grew up going to Atlanta, and that was cool. But I wasn't 21 years old and partying in Nashville either.
DJ Joshua asked me to go this year.
You want to
babysit my 3 kids?
I hear you. I might go with him. I don't need you to babysit. Just take them with you. Keep them in the hotel. I wouldn't mind going for a day or two. I don't know. We used to do the whole week.
They just go Friday, Saturday, and they go down Friday morning. So they're down there Friday, Saturday, and then they come back whenever. I guess after Sunday, the championship's usually around 12 or 1 o'clock. So I think they leave, 2, 3.
So, things were different back then, but I went in the old school days and used to buy the booklets for the tournament. And if Kentucky lost, man, the tickets were cheap, the rest of them. Yeah. But it was a good time. So my grandfather would always take him and his friend, and I always, was thankful of that, because him and his buddy, they were old Army buddies. They worked together for a lot of years. They liked to drink, but they would always let me come. And, that probably crashed some of their fun, because they didn't show their ass when, I was there. And I just think to myself, man, I bet you, how did my Pep all talk his buddy into his Pep his buddy was, I was pretty tight with him too. I remember we would go to the tournament. They had, I was young, so whatever they had playing, they were old school cats. We go to the pep rallies before the game. They had them at the convention center that was really close to that was the CNN center, I think it was, that was really close to the Georgia Dome. At times, remember the tornado at the Georgia Dome?
Yep.
That was why I was not there that year. I'm glad I wasn't. Stuff started falling from the ceiling. The tornado came through downtown Atlanta. That was wild, dude. That was wild.
Were we playing during that game?
I don't
say we were playing Georgia.
Stuff was falling from the ceiling.
Actually, that was the year Georgia made some crazy run.
It was
to the finals.
Oh, and remember. Actually, I think it was us because we were pissed because we weren't going to get our home court advantage for the final game. Because remember all that happened, and they didn't let no fans into the championship game. And I think Georgia beat us, and we were pissed because all of our fans couldn't come to the game because of the issues at the Georgia Dome. And I don't even think they finished it at the Georgia Dome. I think they finished it at Georgia Tech.
It was something crazy like that. All right, Anthony. Only other thing that we had,
no pick.
We got to mention real quick Kansas last night.
Yep,
Kansas is struggling right now, and they got beat by 34 points last night. Please, somebody tell me if that is the most that Bill Self or Kansas has ever lost by. Not ever, but since he's been there.
I do know this. I was reading some Kansas message boards. It feels like Cal 2.0 right now.
Does it?
It does. They're calling for him to retire.
He loves the message boards.
Yeah, I do.
I didn't even
I'm old
still
school.
exist.
Dude, I'm old school, dude. Hey, there's still a lot of people get on them. It's just like it's Cal 2.0. Maybe it's the same. The game's changed.
He's been there a long time.
The game's changed too. And
here it is right here.
You got to be
Kansas lose by 34, tied for Self's worst loss.
It's 2 years in a row. They started off number one, and they really just it's almost a very similar situation. And you really got to be a good talent evaluator. I think you got to use the portal, and you got to be a really good the high school players don't do it no more, dude. They just don't. Maybe with the COVID year being up after this year, that'll get the players a little younger, but the high school players are just not a good enough team to play with these grown men that are 24, 25 years old.
They've lost 5 of their last 8.
And I think it takes a coach that maybe ain't a great recruiter, but is a really good coach at building a team or X's and O's, and it really benefits him. So before, part of coaching was recruiting. Now these programs, they almost got like these GM positions, Charlie. I think that's what they're calling them. But essentially guys that put the teams together.
Well, I think they're all getting that now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I think you should.
Might have heard something about Kentucky just hired somebody.
You need to.
Position.
I think that position, even in the NFL, I think that's like a very important position.
Yeah, well, now the way college is ran now, the way the athletic.
You better get in the portal. You better get in the portal.
Well, you better get you a GM. You better get somebody to run your operations. You cannot expect a college coach to coach his team, recruit the players, and do all of this other back-end shit, too. It's too much.
Well, now, also, say you have a guy that's not a good recruiter, but is a great coach. Well, you can take that ball out of his corner. You can use him. Hey, I need you there for the recruiting visits and stuff. But, hey, I'm going to put this together. I'm going to put the deals together.
Yeah, it doesn't absolve the head coach of all responsibility, but it'd just be like in the NFL or the NBA. Got a guy, a GM that does stuff, and got to work just like we talked.
He comes in to close the deal
with the coach.
The head coach, they make the deal and, puts the deal on the table, but they bring the coach in to sell the basketball team. But at the end of the day, there's a financial package involved, and I'm sure the coach don't want to mess with that shit. I've heard the coaches say they don't want to. And I've also heard with the Bill Self thing, it seems like he's just tired. You can tell with his energy. He's just over it. He has said it a few times that the NIL is just like he's kind of over the whole NIL and what it's created. I'm an old soul too, dude. So I get it. If I had my money, I think I'd take like Saban did. I think I'd take my horse and go ride in the sun myself.
It might be just time. How long's Self been there? It's got to be 20 years,
Could you
right?
imagine having that much success, old Charlie, and believing in a way of doing things, and then they come in, and now you're just throwing all these money as a player, and you have no leverage as a coach to discipline these players because they're making money or they'll just leave. You imagine how aggravating. And look, it's one thing when you're a young guy, you ain't made your name yet. You ain't made your money. So it's either change or you're not going to make it. But what about if you're a guy that's already made your name, you already made your money, you've won your championships? I could see easily where you're just not, you don't want to put up with the shit.
The game's changed. The whole game has changed.
And a young guy got to change. A young guy got to just, like you take a Mark Pope, okay? And look, I give Pope credit, but any of these young coaches, they got to change with it. Or
the old guys are like, see ya.
Well, I mean, they've already made their money, their championships, their legacy.
And they don't want to change how they've ran and done their system for 20, 30, 40 years.
And maybe the young guys don't either, but they know they got to.
Well, they have to.
Yeah, they have
to.
But
a guy like Bill Self, who's been coaching for 40 years, I totally get it why they would just rather retire.
I think that's why Saban did it. I think that's why Kay did it.
2003. He's been there for 21 years.
Yeah.
It's just time. Time might just be up for him, man. Stuff runs its course. We've talked about it with Cal. We've talked about it with Stoops. It happens all the time. But 21 years is a long time to be a coach at one spot. That's a long time.
And then I think the energy from the coaches. Remember the coaches used to be going nuts over there and trying to, Cal and Rick were both notorious for it, but trying to get the Bruce Pearl, but they try to get the kids to listen and stuff and really having to holler and scream. But if you watch these coaches today, they don't do a lot of that no more, man. Because they're coaching grown men.
It's your boy at South Carolina. Ain't nobody screams louder than his ass.
How do you think Bobby Knight would do an NIL error?
Yeah, he wouldn't.
He'd end up killing somebody. He'd end up killing somebody.
There is no way.
I still have trouble believing Bill Belichick. He's got a GM. What do you think? You think North Carolina's got a GM? He ain't handling that stuff.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
That was part of the selling point.
100%.
Yeah.
As crazy as your boy, what's his name, Martin? What's the coach of South Carolina?
I know you're the crazy ass. They say he's actually a really nice guy in person. Players love him.
Yeah, I've seen a video of him, and he says when he goes to his kids' games, he don't say a word.
They say he's a gentleman, though.
Yeah, he said it in a press conference.
He's a very respectful guy.
He says, "I don't say a word to my kids. I let their coaches coach them." And for him, it's got to be tough because he is a wild man. Dude.
I don't think
he's passionate of a coach as I've ever seen.
Just think he's a morally correct guy. You listen to things he says. I've read some stuff. He knows what's up. He understands
All the right stuff.
Yeah, and I think he believes it. I've heard that too, and I think part of it is he knows that's the coach's job. That ain't his job. That's the coach. Just like when he's out there, he knows that's his job. And, people can say what they want. Until you've coached, you don't know. You don't want to scream and holler, but me and I've talked to Charlie about it in coaching our travel baseball team. There was times, and I still think it, I could almost I didn't do it all the time because you can wear it out and they won't listen. But there was times when I see them falling, it was an important game. I usually didn't do it until it was a very important game. But I could literally get out there with energy and just not let them quit on themselves. But I promise you, it took a lot of my energy to do it. I could not do that every game. And there's some guys that I guess can do that every game, like the old Ricks or the old Cows or the old whoever it is. But, dude, it is exhausting to do that.
It is. I mean, people coach like that.
I mean, you're looking around, you're talking to this kid, you're purposely keeping the energy up so they'll feed off from it, and you're just not letting them quit on themselves. And people say, oh, it looks stupid. You've never coached because you don't understand the energy of a game. They're doing that to keep the energy up so those kids don't quit on themselves.
Sometimes we got to. I hope we have to do less of that this year.
I would love to do less of that.
I sure hope so.
I'll do it for them, but I do not like doing it.
All right, you got anything else?
That's it.
I think we ran through about everything.
Yep, good stuff.
We was going to talk some Churchill Downs. Little breaking news today. They're going to spend almost $1 billion over the next 4 years to renovate some more of the front side and a bunch of the infield.
Yep. They're going to build some new suites, 7,000, but that part of it's going to be 3 new buildings for the actual general mission
in the infield.
And it's going to be a rooftop viewing section that's going to raise it up. And that's for general mission. I looked that up. They're going to put a new tunnel in that's going to lead from the clubhouse over to the infield, which they needed because they only had the one tunnel over on the other side. It's awesome, guys. It's awesome for the people that love the track. And Churchill's done some awesome renovations. Their renovation, they
don't stop.
Dude, the one they did, the slot machines has been big time for them. Big time for them. Churchill needed that. It's becoming the Taj Mahal horse racing. And you can believe this or not, for people that don't follow horse racing. I know you know about the Kentucky Derby, but there was a time period about 30 years ago, probably late 90s, when Churchill Downs was starting to become a dinosaur.
It was.
It was. And then there was a time about 5 years ago before we got the slots where a lot of the jockeys had left because our purses were small because we were competing in states that didn't have the slot purses. And as soon as we got the slot machines, it was like 5 months later, everybody was rolling back in. The money was back. And where California and New York was really doing well, they were starting to struggle, and Kentucky was right back on top. That they needed that. So
good stuff.
No.
Churchill, it seems like they do not stop renovating now. They're just pumping money into that place.
And people are pumping money in the slot machine.
Man, Anthony, and I'm sure you're the same. When we was young, late teenagers, early mid-20s, infield.
Yep.
Infield. Infield.
No.
Every year, right?
Yep. No, that's it.
Look, I'm a little old for the infield, okay?
I get it.
But if they will build the infield up a little bit, put a couple more buildings. The main thing for me on the infield is the shelter when you need it.
I get it.
From the rain or the sun.
Well, you used to not be able to see the track, but they put that huge screen up, the huge monitor. That helped. That did help. You agree?
That's the second main thing. Before that big screen was put up, you couldn't see anything. There was 2 little small TVs, and it was horrible because you can't see much of the track. You can see you can go stand by the fence, and you can see them come by right in front of you, but that's about it.
I don't like the one tunnel they got now. You know, it's 2 tunnels, but they keep the one shut down. I said it's always on the back corner back there. I don't like that. I like different entrances to it.
The big screen was the best thing that they ever did.
Not just good for people in the infield, which that was the biggest plus. It's good for people just at the track.
Yeah, that's good for everybody.
That big screen was great.
But it was great for the people in the infield because in the infield, you literally couldn't see anything. And there was very limited TVs, so the big screen, you can see it from anywhere in the track. I think that was great.
We were there for the party, Charlie. We were horse racing people, and I know like the struggle you went through, but I'd be there with my buddy, so it would be like a mix of dude.
Well, back then we didn't care.
I would be like
in the mud. And I had some wild.
I used to lose every year at the Derby in Oaks because I'd be mad at myself because I only think I studied the night before, but once the party started, son, I was just throwing money at it.
Yeah.
And I only think I watched the race. I'd be like, who won the race? It was bad.
And in the last few years, I would have not even thought about going to the infield for Oaks or Derby. But I will say, if they build this up and they make it a little bit better, they put a couple physical buildings over there with more drinks, more food options, more TVs, a little bit of shelter from the sun or the rain. And the number one thing that you said, the rooftop viewing, if they have a spot where you can walk up on the rooftop and stand and see them coming down the stretch, that would be awesome for the people in the infield.
It is.
I'm not going to say I'd be back in the infield for Oaks or Derby, but I would probably consider it if there was some stuff like that.
I'm telling you, I agree. But I'm going to tell you, with the renovation, the paddock renovation last year, guys, probably one of the greatest renovations I've seen of any building. I'm just going to tell you, it was a home run. And they've done some big ones before that, bringing the track into the 21st century. But
the paddock was huge.
It wasn't even just the paddock. It was everything around that area.
It changed everything.
It did. But they're becoming the Taj Mahal. I mean, they closed that street down, put a veterinarian hospital, I think, back on the backside. They were going to build a casino, but COVID happened, so they turned that into more stands, which turned into something nice. The paddock, Churchill has the best paddock in horse racing, hands down.
Awesome.
Dude,
it is awesome.
It is awesome
to see.
It is.
I still think they should have did the hotel idea. The casino's one thing. That would be awesome. But they were going to build a hotel and put it right on the track.
But could it stay busy all year? I think
probably not.
And from what
I'm just thinking, let's go to the track.
Yeah.
Let's bring our 30-pack of beer and our bottle.
We wouldn't have been able to afford those seats on Derby.
No, Derby, but just on a regular day.
How much would
you go open a hotel room? You take your own liquor, right?
How much
your own food, drink, and then you got. They put a machine in there so you could bet right in your room.
I like
it. And then you open your balcony door and you walk out on your balcony and you're looking at the track. It wouldn't have been bad.
Let me ask you a question.
That would have been the best thing that Churchill ever did.
But let me ask you a question, because they make you buy stuff for all weekend on that weekend. What's a hotel suite on Derby for the whole weekend? What's the hotel suite for whole Derby weekend if they had a hotel?
Between $5,000 and $10,000.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. They're charging, dude. They're charging for good seats. They're charging $2,000. You're going to get a whole hotel room, so you could be in like 8 people with. They're charging $2,000 for really good seats.
Yeah, there's no telling. It would be up there,
dude. It might be $75,000 a night.
It might be
because you can bring 8 or 9 people. So you got a room, you got a private area, dude.
I'm sure they would. Well, speculate.
It'd be VIP.
You'd have to get like a wristband to get in the hotel to get up to the room or something stupid.
Probably not anybody could buy it. It might be all VIP.
Yeah, but that idea when they first threw that out and they were actually going to do it, they
started it.
I thought that was going to be the greatest thing, but they changed it up. The track's still great though. They put in a bunch of seats over there. They upgraded that whole spot, and now they're going to upgrade from the finish line down to where they did all that work.
You know what I think it was is that the game. So we got Churchill owns 2 gambling facilities in town now. The second one was kind of a flop from everything I've heard. They say it's still there. It's downtown Louisville. They built the second one, but their original one was actually. That's been a horse racing area since I've been a kid. It was old Trotter Track. Churchill brought it, and it actually was the first OTB, off-track betting place. It was called Sports Spectrum. But Churchill's on that property for a long time. For those of you that ain't from Louisville, that Popple Level Road area, it's right in the middle of the city. Popple Level Road couldn't be more in the middle of the city. So I'm sure that's nice. It's a big open area. They got plenty of parking, plenty of room to grow back there. They own a lot of that area. And that's their gold mine back there. And they got a lot of room to grow. That's their honey hole from in the slot world. And because if we get the table games passed, they're ready to expand. Plenty of room to do it. They got a hotel. And I think they like the location.
There is a lot of open room back there. So if they ever do need to expand, they've got plenty of room.
And it's kind of cool. They train horses back there. The ones that overflow from Churchill, or some trainers just choose to train there. Old harness track used to be back there. It's now a training track.
What I think's pretty cool? I found a winning ticket. I get to go over there here in the next couple of days and cash a ticket that I thought I threw in the garbage.
Is it still good?
It better be. It's only like how long are they good?
Like a year?
Yeah. It's from bowl season.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you know what ticket it is?
Which one?
You'll remember.
What?
Live bet on UConn.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I got it in like 1 minute late.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I thought I threw that ticket away. Casey found it the other day.
You probably could catch that. Can you catch that over at Popple Level Road?
Yeah, that's where I made it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I made it.
Oh, I thought you were talking like Churchill. Like it's
No. They're shutting that down.
What's that?
The sports betting
at Churchill?
Yeah,
they don't really have it anyways. It's very. Look, I'll say this.
They're shutting it down.
Let me tell you what Churchill does. So they don't want sports betting at the track, and they don't want horse racing at the casino place. Now they have to put horse racing in a little corner spot for horse racing betting at the slot place, because by law that's how they got it passed through. But it's pretty much saying we don't want this here. I mean, that's
the smallest TV.
Oh, dude, that's still saying. Yeah, they want that about slots.
Yeah, but I did read Churchill's getting rid of. They're shutting the sports betting.
Dude, all they had was like one window and like 20 machines. It wasn't much.
I think it was big the first weekend.
I still think they should have a couple machines there for people that's there doing it. But you don't have to have an employee. Just I guess you got to have somebody catching those tickets. But Churchill needs to update their machines on their mutual wagers.
Yeah,
they've updated everything. They still using them old machines. Right?
They are.
Which, I mean, good for them if they're still working. I'm not hating on them, but
some of those machines are old.
Especially the guys cashing.
Actually, all of them.
Dude,
right?
the guys cashing
updated machines.
Dude, the guys cashing the tickets, they're putting them in those old things in the light up thing, like the little digital. Like it's old school.
Old.
And
things have been the same ones that they've had forever.
Well, that's why they have to have a different person doing the ball games to cash because you can do it off computer, but you gotta have somebody there cashing it. Well, those old things can't read it's not. They're old. They're old, dude. They're from our childhood.
They got the screen. The screen where you see your amount bet.
And I'm not talking about I'm not even talking because they updated those one machines about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The ones where the self bet machines. I'm talking about the ones where you go up to the teller.
Yeah,
them things are old.
Yeah, they're old.
They still work though.
They still got the same old green the green little digital lighting.
I get why people like betting on their phone because it's definitely more convenient. But there's something about going over the track and handing them money.
Yeah, there sure is.
Yeah.
Handing them motherfuckers money. All right, guys. You got anything else, Anthony?
That's it.
You good?
Yep.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all listening. Thank you. If you listened all the way through, don't forget, check us out on the Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube pages, and continue to hit those subscribe button, auto download the episode so you don't have to remember to do that. But thank you all for listening. We appreciate you. And make sure to listen to this full 3-minute banger that you're about to hear on the way out. Blitz the Bookie banger.
Let's ride.
See y'all.
Charlie got the mic, he's dropping facts all day. Anthony's like, nah, I got the better parlay. Argue about the spread, it's a fierce debate. But when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Late nights, hustle deals on the line. Charlie Stassie's gonna make you shine. Anthony's heart where the numbers combine. Put your cash down, ride the incline. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. From the tip off to the final play, they grind. Mics on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. The bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Final play, they grind. Mics on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. Bond you'll find. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drum.